Tomorrow, sunny, high of 24. Tomorrow night, clear again, low down to 8. Wednesday, mostly sunny and very warm, high of 29. Thursday, mostly sunny, high of 22. Friday, mostly sunny, a high of 21. Currently in downtown Regina, partly cloudy sky, and it's 20 degrees.
B&A Petroleum is a Southern Saskatchewan family-owned business that's there for you. They've been supporting their clients for over 30 years with locations in several communities throughout the southern part of the province. B&A Petroleum is available for all your bulk fuel and lubricant needs, with propane at selected locations Monday to Friday. And don't forget, their Cardlock location is accessible 24 hours for your convenience. B&A Petroleum. Fuel you once, fuel you forever.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar, 35 years of experience, moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more about your livestock operation. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
September 22nd, Monday edition of the Sports Cage for our friends at Kellen Solar. Anything you need solar, they're local and they can help you out. Located in Lumsden, Saskatchewan. 3 hours on this day. And we do have a little bit of content to talk about. Thanks to the commissioner, everyone involved in the CFL, that came down with, I guess, somewhat of a little bit of a bombshell today. We're going to talk to the commissioner of the CFL in mere moments here. Stewart Johnston is going to join us. Dave Thomas will be in. We're still efforting the coaches show on the Riders side of things in hour 2. Darian Durant in hour 3. Pat Chat also in hour 3. We'll rerun the commissioner interview there. Maz, you and I quick, because I know the commissioner's going to call right away and we're going to get at it. I do think it's one of those days, especially if you're a big CFL fan, you'll remember this one. You'll remember this day.
This was huge when it was put out on social media yesterday. Hey, press conference, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Sasky. Commissioner's going to talk. Social media was going nuts. A lot of us thought, is it expansion? For the people that were like, oh, it's bad news, I'm like, no, he's in the honeymoon period of his job. So I figured it was going to be something good. I didn't realize the scope of what they were going to. I thought if they did one or two things, but they went layers deep. And some of these things are long overdue. The Rouge thing, which screwed the Riders last year in Toronto. Did that cost us the Western Final at home? We'll never know. Players on the same side, which is junior varsity football for kids that are 10 years old, professional athletes. But big changes. Goalposts to the end zones? To the back? What's that going to do? Smaller end zones, smaller field?
On that, Maz, just confirmed 3:45, Mike Thomas from Football Saskatchewan will join us to talk about the rule changes as well. And I'm sure, I don't know how much they were given the heads up on a lot of things. It's a question we'll ask Stewart Johnston here coming up in minutes. But just, it's going to be a lot for amateur football. Look about any football field you see around. End zones are at the front. Might not have been the best thing for the last 100 years. It's kind of weird. Even when my kids recognize it. So I think it's a good thing. But now, and field turf, and you got to start repainting things. And if they don't adapt to it, which I can't see how the collegiate and they play in the same stadium, you're going to have to. Like, it is going to be a pain in the you-know-what, but you're going to have to. And at the end of the day, we lived through COVID. Isn't anything easy now after this? Just let's figure it out. Let's get it done.
It's funny because you mentioned that in the past 5 years, a whole new corporate language has come around, like circling back and all that. And another thing that has come up, and now figuratively and literally, moving the goalposts is going to be a thing that's happening in a bunch of cities because the commission said, hey, I'm in charge on my watch. Move these bad boys back, tighten things up. And it was embarrassing to the point Montreal, they can't even paint a normal stripe for the goal line. Their end zones are too small and they're angled off. Toronto has a 3-yard end zone, half grass, half AstroTurf. I mean, just bringing it in line. Some of these things are common sense. I want to ask the commish, because to me, on my wish list would have been scrap the divisions, make it a 9-team league, top 6 make the playoffs, so you get the best of the best in the Grey Cup. Why can't the Riders and the Bombers play?
I think that has to happen. I want to know what was left on the cutting room floor. You know, any of these, was it tough to get them over the line, over the finish line? Hey, speaking of 30,000 feet, that's another one that came out. We're going to take a quick break. The commissioner of the CFL is going to join us when we come back on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Don't forget Prairieland Rentals text line all day. Let them go. 936-6262. What are you thinking about everything?
Yes.
And
Nathan Rourke came out and said, this is garbage. They didn't consult the players at all.
Hey, Nathan, sorry, man. It's collect your check, auto deposit, I'm sure. Play the game. Not that big of a deal. We'll be back. It's a Sportscage, streaming at sportscage.com and around the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM.
Stay in the know about what's happening in Regina. Get the latest news and events delivered right to your inbox with the Regina Today newsletter. Whether you're looking for local happenings, must-visit spots, or the latest in local news, we've got you covered. Sign up today and get Regina's best stories all in one place. Text news to 306-936-6262 and we'll send the link right to your phone. It's free, it's easy, and it's all about Regina. Sign up for the Regina Today newsletter from sasktoday.ca.
The Ritchie Brothers Fall Farm season is here, featuring a huge selection of agricultural equipment coming up for auction across Canada. With 28 separate equipment auctions scheduled between October 2nd and November 6th, we're confident you'll find the equipment you need to get up and running or expand operations. And the best part is you can view detailed listings and quickly assess their assets entirely online. Head on over to rbauction.com to learn more about this great opportunity. Once again, that's rbauction.com. Did you know over 1.3 million homeowners call on Reliance for their water heater needs? With over 140,000 5-star online reviews and over 60 years experience, you could say Reliance Heath are water heater experts. Switch to Reliance Heath today. They'll give you $200 plus standard installation is included. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance. Visit waterheaterrentals.com for details. Terms and conditions apply.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. Combined with a LiftMaster opener, it's the right choice. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. And a LiftMaster opener. 100% made by Canadians for Canadians. Steady, tariff-free pricing and great quality, no matter what.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
The Regina Thunder NFL Lottery is back and tickets are available now. Each $20 ticket gets you the chance to win up to $500 each week of the NFL season. That's 18 chances to win. Tickets are available until October 6th, and you can still win for the weeks already played. No football knowledge needed. Proceeds support the Regina Thunder Student Athlete Scholarship Fund and team operations. Get your tickets at ReginaThunderNFLLottery.com.
Lottery license RR240660.
Welcome back to Sportscage. Get social with us. Follow us on X at Sportscage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Joining us here on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, the Commissioner, Stewart Johnston. Commish, big day for you. Did you get any sleep last night? That's my first question.
I was looking forward today. It's been a lot of work to get from there to here, but today was about unveiling what I think is just such an exciting piece of news. 151
days in office. I commend you because, anybody that's been a part of a business and you got someone that comes in and they make changes, the aggression on this to come out and the timing to put it out, I guess, a little past mid-season. Why the timing right now?
A few reasons, and I get it. It's some people will call it odd, and why wouldn't you wait for the off season? A couple of reasons. One is these changes we're making in 2027 actually require infrastructure change. So I want to make sure that everyone's aware we're working on this. We're going to work with our turf. We're going to work with our goalposts and manage the changeover for how we're going to rework and reimagine our stadium infrastructure. So I want to give enough time for that. Secondly, I think amateur football would appreciate a full year and a half and not me just delaying for a few months for the sake of delaying for a few months. I think it's great to get this out there so amateur football can start thinking about it. They may not adopt these rules, but at least it gives them time to think about it. And then finally, I'm just going to say, guys, get used to it. This is when I'm excited about something, and I couldn't be more excited about these changes. I'm not waiting. Let's go. Let's work with pace and let's move our league forward.
Love that. One thing on the amateur football, were they in the discussions at all? Football Canada down to the grassroots, or is that something that's coming up now?
Look, I wanted to make sure that I spoke to the leadership of Football Canada and U Sport, which I did, so that they heard from me before they heard it from a press conference. And they were very appreciative of the calls. We had really good initial discussions, but of course, I'm not going to ask them to react in real time to the decisions the Professional Football League is making. What I did offer was of two wide open hands for collaboration. Anytime they want to talk about kind of all the data and analytics that went into our decision making, we're very happy to share that, and then discuss, of course, places where we play on the same fields and how that can work together. But really, it's just the beginning of those conversations.
Commissioner, it's Maz here. One of the things I want to commend you on as a fan of this league, I truly appreciate every time you speak, and I saw it today, the passion you have for this game. It makes me as a fan feel like we're in really good hands. And it's great to see, because sometimes the person in charge doesn't always give off that vibe. And secondly, because you had mentioned in your press conference when you were talking about making the rule changes, especially with the Rouge, and we're going to get into all of the changes. You said you would hate to see a Western final, an Eastern final, or a Grey Cup determined with a rule like that. Has there been any discussion to speeding that up so it wouldn't happen potentially in 2025 and not wait till 2026?
Well, Naz, first off, I'm glad that the passion I have for this game comes through when I speak, because it's a big reason why I took this job. I hope I'm bringing a lot of business skill to the job, but it's really all driven from a passion for the game, and I am so energized. I tell this to the staff all the time. I am so energized by where we are going, moves like this, the support we have across the league and at the governor's level to really push our game forward. I'm wired. I'm so excited. But to answer your question, I don't think it would be appropriate to change a rule mid-season. Look, I'm going to hold my breath for the remainder of the games, playoffs, and Grey Cup. It hasn't really happened yet in one of those super meaningful games, but I don't want to change a rule mid-season.
Yeah, that makes sense. How many people and any prominent names, if you can mention, that were involved in this group and the back and forth?
I won't mention names. I will tell you it was a tight circle. When you're working on something that is as significant and material a change as what was announced today, you really want to work through that and understand kind of where our position is. What are the pros and cons? What's the data tell us? What does our own common sense tell us? And I wanted to keep that as a tight circle, so that we could have those conversations without the worry of kind of the onslaught of opinion that would come if it was more well known. So we kept it tight. It was really, I went on a 100-day listening tour, and believe me, when I chatted with fans and you guys and team officials, media, other media, I planted a few questions just to see what the answers I would get, and so I took some of that information with me back to the office. Then we got the right people with the expertise in football operations, data analytics, stats, marketing, communications, historian, all together and said, this is the core team. we are under the cone of silence. Let's work on this, and we have been for the last number of months.
A lot of the things that were announced today could be described as innovation to the game and the product, and maybe you used that terminology. I think some of them, though, Commissioner, are common sense. And my common sense one is having the players, the professional athletes, these grown men, separated by sidelines, because we've seen scenarios where even a couple weeks ago, Ryan Dinwiddie, after the game, he's wandering down or whatever, words are being exchanged. And I'm like, this is a powder keg that can really go wrong. I mean, look at the Rider game last year in Ottawa with the command center debacle. And then after that, was that, if there was hierarchy of what needed to be changed, was that tops on your list to be like, we got to have this separated?
I won't put that at the very top. I do think the uprights moving was the very top. That was the catalyst that drove a lot of this. However, in terms of benches on opposite side, I'm going to say the mitigation or even elimination of the powder keg that can be there when you get professional athletes in a very excited state so close to each other is a wonderful byproduct of the first objective, and that was I need these teams to be able to make their substitutions efficiently because of the 35-second automatic reset clock we're introducing. I can't have a team buried all the way down near one end zone trying to send a lineman 70 yards to the other side within 35 seconds and start the play. So that was the number one objective, was efficient substitution. But yes, I'm not going to deny that the byproduct of separating the teams and just avoiding that situation, that's a wonderful benefit as well.
Staying with the posts, Commission, I got to tell you, my 12-year-old son a couple of years ago comes at me and says, why are the goalposts at the front of the end zone? And we're watching an NFL game. And he goes, well, why wouldn't I just use that as a pick when I'm playing? There's so many things. Sight line we talked about. Anyone that's ever thrown a football in Canadian football, you got to be so conscious of where they are. Moving of the goalposts, that is, you're also hoping there for that to create more offense with the goalposts out of the way, basically.
We have, you're absolutely right. And you can tell your son that at the professional level, they use the goalpost as a pick, which is so. I've seen that before, and I think if you asked some offensive receivers off the record, they'd confirm that. But yes, I think that we were focused on. Actually, I apologize. Can you repeat I'm so excited about the pick, I forgot what the actual question was.
You're hoping that it also creates, more offense with the settling for points in quotation marks could be out the window a bit.
Well, this is where the data really supported our argument. We looked at the data of how many pass attempts have been to the left third of the end zone from, call it the goal line to 15 yards deep in the end zone, how many in the center, and how many on the right third of that end zone. And it is overwhelming how many attempts and completions for touchdown are on the right third and the left third, and it's almost half and more than, or less than half attempts and completions over the middle. And it doesn't surprise you. I think you use the words common sense. Of course, quarterbacks aren't eyeing over the middle. They have to dodge an obstruction. And we take that out. We think we are opening up the middle of the end zone. And again, this is where our stats tell us we think we're going to grow completions in the end zone by 10%, and that can result in at least 60 more touchdowns per year.
Wow. Nice.
Commissioner, you said that change won't take effect till 2027 because it's an infrastructure thing that the stadiums have to deal with. For the common person,
correct.
I've seen videos on the internet where after a college game, they rip down the goalpost and they take it to a river and throw it in. How much work is involved? What is the cost as far as goalposts in the end zone, as like the work and what goes into that? Like where they are now to move them. It's no small task, is it?
It is no small task, but it's a manageable task. And once the new footings for the new location of the goalposts are settled, it's actually relatively straightforward to transition or transform a field back and forth. So, for example, those stadiums where our CFL clubs share the field with the U Sport team of that city, if U Sport does not adopt these changes, that's okay. We'll just move the goalposts back and forth and repaint the field to the different configuration. So once we get there, it's a little more straightforward. Having said that, we do want to work with those folks who've got different states of their turf currently. Some are stitched, some are painted, and then obviously we've got to work out. We've got to have discussions or further our discussions with the, sometimes we aren't the owner of the stadium. A city might be the owner of a stadium, or the university might be the owner of the stadium. So we're just going to work out those details as well.
That is a lot of work right there that you just shed some light on. I want to get to the Rouge. Long time coming. I was just talking to some Americans about it this weekend. It's so funny. Now, I have to ask, though, if anyone's ever been involved in a puntapalooza in the Canadian football game to end a game, it is so much fun. What's going to happen there now? Can the ball be punted out? And then if it gets punted back, are we losing that side of it as well, Commish?
I'm gonna punt that question to my rules committee,
okay,
and let them come back to me with their thoughts on it. My feeling is we don't lose that. A punt backwards or back should still be available. However, I'm gonna park that one. I will say that was not in the realm of our thought process as we discussed that change.
Those are the best games to ever be a part of. But the end of the thing is now we only got 15-yard end zone, right? So you got to place that punt tight, or else it's out of the back of the end zone, and then it doesn't matter. So okay, we'll punt that question. 35-second clock to that one again. It's interesting that you bring it up, and now a lot of casual fans are like, oh, there was a lot of arbitrary calls by the official on when that clock started. That is probably the one on my social media and text messages that people are worried about. What do you say to people that might be worried about we're going to lose that frenzy in the last part of a CFL game?
Well, I think that please don't be concerned about the ability for comebacks at the end of the game, which, however, I might argue the one thing we don't have at the end of our games is a frenzy. That's not how I would describe the end of our games. We have a great ability for a team 2 scores down to come back in the last 3 minutes because we stop the clock at every possible moment. And Hamilton this past weekend, they had a drive and completed it with a last-second field goal to win. They got the ball with 1:12 on the clock. It took 11 minutes in real time for that drive to go to completion. That's not a frenzy.
Yeah.
That's a casual meandering is how I would call that. So what we and the rules committee are going to work on is trying to find the exact right balance of offering teams an excellent opportunity for comebacks in the last 3 minutes of a half or a game, but at the same time encourage urgency so that we actually are moving at pace and maybe creating a frenzy. I would love for it to feel like a frenzy. I'm just not sure it does right now.
Commissioner, yesterday when the tweet, the message on Instagram, Facebook, whatever went out that there was going to be a major press conference tomorrow, just know that if you're on any CFL channels, like Barney said, things started to melt down. People were losing their mind. A lot of theories going around, some crazy, some crazier than others. One of the things that I thought, and I've always liked, and I saw people post, eliminating the divisions, 1 9-team league, top 6 make the playoffs. You came from the TV business. Viewers, engagement, you know this. The Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup can draw a lot of eyes because they can do that in the regular season separately. But together, no offense if it's a Hamilton BC Grey Cup, may not have the same appeal. Since you said the discussion is always ongoing and you like change and you want to keep evolving these things, is that something that may be on the docket in the future?
I would suggest that's exactly the type of thing I would want to review. I'm not offering an opinion on that, and I'm not offering a direction on that, so let's just be clear. But that is exactly the type of thing that I want to review to say what makes sense. I know the staff at the CFL League office are tired of me saying, please don't do things just because we've always done them. Question everything, and then ultimately support why we currently do it with an argument, and then let's move on. And that would be a great example. I will question that, and we might find this is the best system, and let's move on, or maybe we'll offer a change. But that would fall right in the wheelhouse of things I'm excited to look at.
All right, Commissioner, just a couple more, and these ones could be quick. Kind of on the heels of that one, were there a few that didn't get passed that maybe were left on the cutting room floor? You don't have to say which ones unless you want to, that maybe will get revisited in a few months or in time?
This is an easy and a quick one. No, there weren't.
Okay.
This was the exact package that we put in front of the Board of Governors. And the reaction was overwhelmingly enthusiastic.
Right on. Okay, my last one. I would have lost a bet today because I thought it was going to be about expansion. I got a little bit of egg on my face there. Any American investors looking at the league right now, maybe a team, whether it's in Halifax or somewhere in Canada?
I'll leave it at this. You've asked me this question before, and I think my answer has been, hey, expansion's not a top priority. It's, of course, an absolute objective. You can sense maybe today what a top priority was for me, and I'll continue to focus on things like we did today, and in terms of and how things like you suggested with the divisions. Expansion is always going to be at least on the middle burner of what's happening, and we receive a lot of incoming calls from Canadians and international, I'll say, folks who are interested in our league. So I can tell you, things are always cooking, but we've learned our lesson to let's let it cook a little longer before we get too excited. Right on.
Commissioner, what a day for you and the league. Commend, like Maz said, everything that you're doing, your passion for the league. Thank you for taking time. Thank you for doing this today. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, folks, for the support. I can't wait to see what's next.
Ooh, there it is. There's the tease, folks. That's our commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stewart Johnston, joining us here on the Sports Cage. If you're watching the stream at sportscage.com, or as always on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM.
So since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Football's in full swing, hockey's heating up, and the baseball playoffs are just around the corner. There's only one place you need to be, Pop Jack's Cathedral. Catch every game on the big screens with 30 beers on tap, Wing Wednesdays, and Pop Jack's famous pub-style beer-battered fish and chips. Or go big with a full rack of ribs. You've earned it. Live sports, cold beer, hot food on the corner of Albert and 13th. Pump Jack's Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. Come early, stay late. The place where friends meet.
Howdy, Wood Country Woody here again. And let me tell you something. My yard was so ugly, I had to throw pork chops on the lawn just to get the dog out there. Kind of ironic that it was Barkman Concrete landscaping products that fixed my problem. I got mine at Wood Country, natural. Paving stones, retaining wall blocks, patio blocks, pretty up your yard. Come take a gander at Barkman Concrete products from Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale, wood-country.com.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 5050 is presented by ISC.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. This is Sportscage. Watch our live stream at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It is for Kellen Solar, trusted in Saskatchewan for solar needs, whether it's for the farm, livestock operation, the home. Thanks to Kellen Solar for sponsoring this. Prairie Land Rentals text line. Buzz in. Prairie Land Rentals, 600 Albert Street. Anything you need to get that late job in this year, they can rent it to you. Husqvarna days are coming up. Quickly, before we get to Dave Thomas, let's just go through some of these text messages, Maz, that we're getting so far. Adam from Theodore, sorry, I missed it. He had a good question. He wants to know speaking of going back pre-COVID, or what in COVID, wasn't it? Like your business has to have the pillars. What are your pillars? That's a thing now. So Adam wants to know what the CFL's pillars are. Not a bad question. Adam from Theodore as well. Keeping the football game Canadian, change it to meters, and you don't have to change the field, from Daryl. What else is there? So influenced by the NFL, Canadian football. So unbelievable. We're Canadian. Our rules. You like NFL, watch it. Okay. Besides the field and the goalpost moving back, which the NFL didn't do until 1974. They didn't move the goalpost back. So there's...
How's that going to affect the kickers, especially early in 2027? Some people, you still got it. No, it will. It'll make a difference. It will. Now, if you're an American kicker and you're used to it coming from college, it's no big deal. But if you're a straight-on Canadian kicker, this it. We'd mentioned before we interviewed Commish, Nathan Rourke doesn't like these changes. And it's funny, he's the Canadian poster boy for the CFL these days. He's Mr. Canada. He called it garbage. We didn't ask the Commish if the players or the PA was consulted in any of this.
Sometimes when you work at a business, they make decisions that you, the employee, don't get a say in.
No, Barney.
Sometimes.
No, Barney. No. My feelings are hurt. We all get a say, right?
No, I don't get a say here. I don't. I know. Brendan also kind of mentioned that. He said, Rourke, when I get his frustration, companies make business decisions every day. They don't consult their employees. There's so many different ways to skin this. And there are the diehard Canadians. I totally get this. And it'll be a while before this one wears off. Damn American rules and Americans are taking over. George Bush, get up. We're all going to start talking like this. I get it. Remember when seatbelts became mandatory? People freaked out. I was little. Tim Hortons, we found out that stuff wasn't baked fresh in Tim Hortons. It was like shipped in. We were just like, oh, Canada. Is this the this? I didn't even know. Is this?
I had my preemptive hot take ready to go if they were going to announce expansion. That I would say after watching Ottawa and Winnipeg on Saturday and how embarrassing that was for the league, that game where a quarterback attempts 8 passes and completes 3, and you think this is going to translate somewhere else when the talent pool gets even thinner? Man, I couldn't not watch the game because it was so bad and so embarrassing on so many levels.
Then don't talk about it right now. Let's get to the more pressing thing. Dave Thomas is standing by.
It was a preemptive hot take. Didn't need to be used.
Dave Thomas is here. Okay, Dave, you got the first minute and a half here. Clock's going to start. Your take on the new rules. Go.
Well, first of all, Daryl made my day by going ahead and switching the field to meters. So thanks, Daryl. I think that was an awesome comment. But today, this opens up a lot of different possibilities, and I'll be the first one to tell you that I am a traditionalist when it comes to sports. I hated the MLB putting in the pitch clock and MLB extending the size of the bases, so on and so forth. But I think in the long run, this is going to improve the product on the field. I love the way that they're going to work the clock now with the 35 seconds and what Commissioner was saying, right? A minute took 11 minutes of real time to play. There's actually going to be some urgency in what happens on the football field now with that clock running all the way through. So I think that that's going to dramatically improve the flow.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, because I watched that. I didn't realize it was 11 minutes. It's that what a football game takes to play out, right?
So
last minute
fellas,
in the CFL.
Fellas, and here come the text messages from people that are so angry, and they think that we now have private health care and we care American money. It's like watching people melt down here. What is the bad? Can we start with that? Dave, which one and why is it bad?
The one that I started off thinking was bad, and really it was the only one that I wasn't convinced on immediately, was the removal of the 55-yard line, right? So going from 110 to 100 yards. I thought to myself, really, that's kind of a Canadian thing. Why wouldn't you do that? But now looking into the analytics and the data involved, I can understand why they've done it. If you look in the NFL, fourth downs, right? So again, we're not going to 4 downs, but the fourth down gamble has been on the rise, which increases drama and increases strategy from the coaches as to whether or not you're going to go for it. So by removing those 10 yards, you're going to have more opportunities for coaches to have to think, okay, do we risk punting this ball into the end zone where we get nothing? Do we want to try an extremely long field goal attempt, or are we better off going for it on 4th and 4 from the opponent's 40-yard line? And I think that that's what really brought me over and converted me to this thing.
Again, kind of COVID-ish, so data-driven. When he broke down in that interview, the quarterback, where they're throwing it to the left side or the right side, they're staying away from the middle of the field to almost where it's half, and then the middle gets the scraps. Dave, you played it. Maz, why would the goalpost ever be there? Like, if you dropped someone from another planet in and just showed them football, they'd go, why would you put your goalpost there? I mean, people are running into it. You can use it as a pick. You're going to hit it if you throw it. It's dangerous at the kid level.
Well, and I'm trying to remember which high school it was that we went to play, but we specifically game planned because they didn't have like the one goalpost where the uprights came out from. They had the two, you know what I mean? Like the converted soccer net with and so we game planned around that because we had not one but 2 different picks that we could run when we went and played at that field.
Yeah. See, people are thinking that it's just turning into an NFL wannabe league. I personally do not get that sense because a lot of this is backed by data on where they think the excitement of the football game can benefit. Let's keep in mind, remember when hockey took out the 2-line pass? Oh, we lost our minds. Or net room behind the net. We're going to more room behind the net. Oh my, like what's going on? It's like, let's settle down. This is going to all blow over. In 5 years, we're going to all sit down with a stubby and a dart and be like, remember when we all freaked out about this? It was nothing.
Don't forget that the game is going to remain the same, right? The waggle is going to continue. The 1 yard off the ball is going to continue. The 3 downs to get is going to continue. Like that's all going to still remain in effect. The one thing that I think that is so captain obvious that no one has gone ahead and talked about yet is the fact that by reducing the field from 110 yards to 100 yards, guess what? EA Sports, or you name the gaming company that creates games, all of a sudden, hey, you know what? We got the prototype for this game now. We've got the dimensions for this. Now, yes, the game is still going to be wider. It's the 65-yard width is going to remain intact, and the end zones aren't going to be 15 or 10 yards, are going to be 15. But still, this makes converting a Canadian football game onto your favorite console a whole lot easier, I would suggest.
One of the questions that I asked the commish, because it's true, I mean, the Riders got jobbed on this. It's happened to everybody over the years. You're changing the Rouge. I don't care about mid-season. Change it now. Don't risk your Grey Cup being decided on a bad play that's going to decide the championship. So if it's done. Rip the Band-Aid off and get it going. Next year will be kind of like a year in waiting, and I understand the infrastructure part where it may take a while for everybody to figure out how they're going to make some of those structural changes to the field. But as they bring it in, when the announcement came out, I was going through expansion was the first thing, and I'm like, okay, that's good. What I was also hoping for in all of this, because especially when Kate Burness came out and said, hey, we're going to, at the start of the press conference, if you didn't see it from TSN, we're going to start doing things differently. We're going to expose it in a different way. I thought along with whatever changes, they were going to be announcing that they may be shooting the game differently. And then when he would come on, that potentially the salary cap would be going up as well, which then benefits players, or you can add players or rosters or expanding or something like that. But I'm okay with these changes. I don't think it loses the Canadian aspect of the game. It'll still be ours. I'm just glad that the Rouge thing is out, because when we do make national news, it's usually for something embarrassing. And the Rouge, more often than not lately, is, hey, look what happened up in Canada. That's the only time ESPN cares, outside of Chris Berman doing the Grey Cup highlights and showing the winner the day after.
You know what I'm really intrigued by is how the implementation of this is going to go ahead with the field size as well, because I understand there's a lot of consternation right now between amateur football organizations and the CFL saying, hey, we weren't consulted on this. What are you doing? Well, the two games are already different. The hash marks is the obvious and clear choice, as well as the game timing. But also, you've got stadiums right now in Montreal, in Calgary, in Saskatchewan, and in Winnipeg, who all share fields with amateur football teams, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see how they make it work. I'm confident they will, but it's going to be very interesting.
We're going to have Mike Thomas on here in moments to talk about it. And I don't even know if they've unpacked everything yet. There's another COVID buzzword mass. But it's going to be a lot of work for some stadiums and leagues. And if you know anything about field turf, and like he talked about where things are stitched in, it is not easy at all. But again, we all went through COVID. Is anything ever going to be that difficult ever again? Let's just make it happen. Again, in 5 years, we're going to be like, yeah, it was okay. It was like when the NBA went to the three-point line in 79-80. I'm sure there's people that their heads exploded. 3 points.
The best part of this,
change,
which made the CFL look very amateur and like Pop Warner football, was having the teams on the same side. That, to me, was total Bush League. That needed to change. If they changed nothing else, just to be like, we got to separate you. There was almost a brawl a couple of weeks ago. Like, look at last year in Ottawa with the Riders, and then the fans are fighting, and that to me was, I'm like, you guys can't get your you-know-what together. This is ridiculous.
If the Swift Current Civic Center or whatever it is can figure it out with benches on opposite sides, you mean CFL leagues can't? Okay, Dave, we could go more here. Maybe we'll get you back tomorrow, but I know Mike Thomas is waiting, and we want to get to the grassroots part of it. But stay handy. We might be buzzing you. And then I know you got to sit down with Craig Reynolds coming up in the coaches show, so that'll be good. Thanks for hopping on, Dave.
Hey, my pleasure. And Craig Reynolds is going to talk about reconfiguring Mosaic Stadium, so we'll get to that in a bit.
There we go. That's a tease.
I thought the commish was also going to announce too, and maybe there's an addendum. Maybe that'll be a tomorrow press conference.
With your Pilsner Bowl thing.
There will be 9 Pilsner Cups played across the league in a couple of years.
It's such an important day, folks. I apologize. We have to go there. Things are people are melting down on the text line. People are crying.
Clicks and likes.
Die-hard Canadians, people that are still really patriotic about this country, are like melting down on the text. And you got to go with your Pilsner thing. Sorry. Mike Thomas is standing by. Let's find out what it means for Football Saskatchewan. If he's unwrapped it, like I said, it's a Sportscage. We're streaming at sportscage.com.
Rider Nation lives on 620 CKRM. I'm Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saturday is game day as the Riders take on the Edmonton Elks. Countdown to kickoff with Justin Dunk and Tegan Whitco's at 2. The pregame show's at 4. And kickoff with Luke Mullender and I is at 5. Saskatchewan Roughrider football on the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network is brought to you by your Saskatchewan AGCO dealers, Quality Tire, and SaskTel. Stream every moment of Rider football at sportscage.com.
Sask Lotteries has over 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all, $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
The Ritchie Brothers Fall Farm season is here, featuring a huge selection of agricultural equipment coming up for auction across Canada. With 28 separate equipment auctions scheduled between October 2nd and November 6th, we're confident you'll find the equipment you need to get up and running or expand operations. And the best part is you can view detailed listings and quickly assess their assets entirely online. Head on over to rbauction.com to learn more about this great opportunity. Once again, that's rbauction.com.
The care your family receives in hospitals, schools, and community programs comes from SEIU West members who live in your community. We're united around something simple. When working people have what they need to do their jobs well, everyone benefits. Our conditions of work are your conditions of care. For more information, visit seiuwest.ca.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance Heath today.
Yeah, day to remember for the CFLs. Commissioner Stewart Johnston announced a number of rule changes. We've been covered them all show. We'll get back on it here in a moment. Riders, they're back on the practice field tomorrow, 5 p.m. in Edmonton on Saturday. They've signed American defensive end Chico Bennett Jr. He attended Philadelphia Eagles minicamp earlier this year. He spent previous 3 seasons at the University of Virginia Cavaliers. Jays are off tonight in Boston tomorrow. Magic number to clinch the AL East is down to 4. NFL, Detroit at Baltimore tonight. 4.5 point on the spread with Sports Select right there. And our Sportscage.com poll, which announced change to the CFL game will have the most impact. You can vote at Sportscage.com right now. It is for Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals, keeping you in hot and soft water. Call on Reliance. Maz is back with me, and like you said, Mike Thomas from Football Saskatchewan is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Perfect night for a little Western Zaw. Mike, I know that face. That's an intense face. I've seen it before. Initially, let's when you hear it, did you know? And then your thoughts when you hear things today.
You know, we actually found out 9 minutes prior to the announcement in regards to what was going to be said by Commissioner Johnston. So, you know, that was obviously massive news immediately within our staff circles and chats, and then was obviously tuning into the press conference to know exactly what the commissioner's response was going to be to some of those questions. So, you know, when we start talking nationally in terms of, you know, executive directors all of a sudden getting on the hot wire and start talking, it was relayed to us from Football Canada's executive director and Kevin McDonald that they only became aware of the news late last night. So nobody really has had any opportunity to unpack any of this other than what is currently happening across this country and internationally, obviously US as well, which is to start, you know, speculating how's this going to be, what does this affect, XYZ. So, you know, I think Maz, I think you said it, or maybe it might have been Dave, sorry, who mentioned the fact of some of the CFL stadiums that also incorporate university teams, junior football teams, minor teams, and the massive implication it's going to have. You know, I don't know if the people of Saskatchewan really understood that we were going to be paying for a potential stadium that would be then have to be retrofitted and changed and whatnot. But that's another conversation that will occur, and you know, more so here to talk about what the implications could be from an amateur football standpoint.
On the CFL side, If we just put amateur to side, as someone who follows the CFL, do you understand why he would want to make these changes and try and evolve the product and the league, as he says, strictly on a CFL front, with to do with nothing else?
I guess the easiest way to explain it would be it's all about the Benjamins, as they say in the U.S. if that's the best way to put it. Money aside, and that's really kind of when you start to look at it from a marketing standpoint and how they can look to increase some of the creativity in the league. We've seen some adoptions that have happened already in terms of the adjustment for the hash marks that all of a sudden came in, which was kind of an American thing, to allow teams to be able to have their start of drives and plays happen on interior parts of hash marks, which gave more space for the field to increase scoring. So, I guess the good question would be has that really worked for the CFL? And so when you look at this, the Commissioner Johnston, who's only been in office for, 160, 70, 80 days or whatever it may be, has come in with a huge swing for one of his first actions to come into play, which will have major impacts as we talk about, and you think about in our own space, in our own backyard. Think about retrofitting Mosaic. How is that going to look? Chopping off 20 yards, moving goalposts to the back of the end zones. Now you're going to have to put up a net to secure the ball from flying into the crowd every single time. That's going to affect the viewing standpoint, which isn't different in the US, so again, it's just going to be something people are going to have to get used to. But I do think that there are some things that, are palatable by people in terms of, you talked about the benches like that. Barney, I think he said if Swift Current can figure it out to get that done, like that should be an easy one, right? And that shouldn't have been something that is a question. The clock issue in terms of 35 seconds being added, we were talking about it in the office in terms of how this could really work in the game and how the flow works, but that also encompasses another group, which is the officials in that sense. So, the one I think, which is the most unique one, which I think a lot of people may be more in agreement is of the Rouge. I know that's been a big discussion in terms of, Toronto won a game off a missed field goal to get a single. I myself have been a part of a win in university football because of the Rouge, when John Ryan kicked it through the end zone in Calgary for us to win to go on to the Hardy Cup. So, there have been a lot of us over the years who've obviously benefited from the Rouge on both sides. But I think it has become a bigger topic of discussion as we've gone through football so much, so including this last little bit.
I think, Mike, and it's not so easy isn't the right word, but to throw new turf down, which probably has to be, what are they replacing turf in most football stadiums now? What's the lifespan? Every 10.
Every 10.
10 years.
So we got to maybe look a little bit, sooner to do that. The goalpost. I think Mosaic is probably the easy one. I'm thinking about all these other football fields now, and it's unfortunate in Saskatchewan we don't have more field turf. You and I we both know that. But every football field, right, to be configured now, will be a massive undertaking. I love the Rouge thing. I benefited from it as well in tournaments, but I've always thought, what if it does, decide like a Grey Cup game, or it's unfortunate. The clock side, the running clock, there's just a lot to unpack. Like, where do you go from here in your group? Are you guys discussing? Are you drafting a strongly worded email or letter?
Yeah, you know what? And this is kind of tough, and I'll share this with the listeners and yourselves. Is that Football Canada and us provinces, we're currently in discussion with the CFL on probably the next announcement that may be coming from Commissioner Johnston's office and some things coming down the pipeline. So, we're partners in a sense from a distance in another aspect. But, the thing is, at the end of the day, the CFL is going to do what they want to do. They have their own set of rules, which is different than the amateur rule book that we follow in the country. So, for them, they would do whatever, they want to do. Now, in terms of, how this works for, groups, it doesn't work. right now. It does not. Because, when you look at, say, here in our city, Mosaic, we've got U of R Rams, we've got the Thunder, we've got Regina High School Athletic that's here. We have other community user groups that come in and use the field for other aspects. And it would be something that just couldn't work because of the fact that they play in other stadiums that would then maybe potentially get retrofitted or whatnot. It's just, there's a lot there in terms of how that would really kind of work. Taking out 40 yards, let me rephrase that. Taking out 20 yards of turf, not 40, 20 yards, 5 on each end zone, with the 15-yard end zones. And then, taking out the center line, at the 55, that means there's more space available, I guess, when you kind of look at it in terms of, if you're looking at being on that field and not ripping out any more turf, just kind of adjusting lines and things. But that's a lot of money. When they made this line change in terms of the hash marks here in Regina, for high school athletics and for university and junior football, they have to come, they being the Riders, if I'm not mistaken, pay for the amateur lines to still be painted along the line of where it would be. And that's at their cost. So, that's a big amount. I can't foresee them all of a sudden coming in and moving goalposts after games to move it back to where it needs to be and retrofit. Like that's a lot. So it's going to be interesting how this is going to work. And I know that many people will be extremely disappointed if this stadium is retrofitted in a space or in a way that doesn't allow for community users to be able to still do things as they would have, because a lot of people would be upset that the stadium that we have would only be used for 9 CFL games and nothing else outside of that. So I'm interested to hear how this is going to work from Craig, and the Riders do an amazing job of being supportive of amateur football in the province as well as the foundation. So it's going to be interesting.
I can sense the frustration and the sadness in your voice because we know each other so well. It reminds me when my son had to stop playing football for you. And
it's well, it's tough. It really is, and just because Saskatchewan is so football is so ingrained in our culture, in our history, in our province, and this affects so many from so many levels, and the questions that are just coming in, and we've got coaches, administrators that were emailing us this morning, definitely upset. What are we going to do? How is this going to work? And us as a province, having a strong voice nationally, we're trying to ensure, that we have an ED meeting on Thursday, that everybody make sure you're there. And if you say you aren't going to be there, drop what you're doing and get there, because this is an important part of where we are moving going forward. And although we are going to be in another partnership with the CFL, we have to understand how this has such a major impact across the country from coast to coast.
Let's maybe catch up in a week or so, Mike. Let you unpack a lot of things. Appreciate you coming on short notice here today, sharing all that good stuff. Thanks, my man.
Yeah, as always. Mike. Thank you very much, you guys. Appreciate you.
On. Executive Director of Football Saskatchewan, Mike Thomas. Hey, sheds some really good light on that. We're up against the clock here, Maz. We'll be back in hour 2. Stay with us. It's a Sportscage, streaming at sportscage.com.
We are 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station, broadcasting live from downtown Regina.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM news. Police have arrested an 18-year-old man, the fourth person charged after an 11-year-old girl was shot at a Regina home last month. Officers were called to Edgar Street on August 11th and found the child suffering from a gunshot wound. She was taken to hospital with serious injuries. On Friday, investigators charged an 18-year-old man with conspiracy to commit murder, among other offenses. 3 other suspects were charged last week. The Regina police say their investigation is still ongoing. Regina's International Trade Centre now carries a new name, the Bungie International Trade Centre. The renaming follows Bungie's merger with Viterra and highlights its sponsorship of Canada's Farm Show. The centre features 3 column-free halls, a mezzanine, and more than 150,000 square feet of space for large events. Past shows include Agribition, Majestic's Car Show, and Frost at Real. Organizers say the rebrand celebrates community, innovation, and collaboration. Planning is already underway for Canada's Farm Show in 2026, with exhibitor booths opening October 1st. Leaders call the site a premier destination. Saskatchewan has declared September 21st to 27th as Supply Chain Week, a move that shows its commitment to supporting professionals who move goods across the province and around the world. Trade Minister Warren Kading said exports account for nearly 70% of production, stressing the need for efficiency. Saskatchewan has signed agreements with other provinces to strengthen trade and boost supply chain stability. Canadian fresh mushrooms are the latest target of U.S. trade angst.
U.S.-based Fresh Mushroom Fair Trade Coalition has filed a petition asking for anti-dumping and countervailing duties on fresh mushrooms from Canada to offset what it calls, quote, unfair pricing and subsidization. Now the U.S. International Trade Commission will be investigating whether the American industry has been materially injured or threatened with material injury by imported mushrooms alleged to have been sold at less than fair value and subsidized by the Canadian government. Mushrooms Canada says the claims have no merit and is confident the investigations will confirm the industry's compliance with rules-based trade. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
NASA has introduced its newest class of astronauts.
At a ceremony at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas.
It's an exciting time to be here, and I couldn't be more thrilled and honored.
Anna Menon was one of 6 women and 4 men picked to begin a 2-year astronaut training program. Aaron Overcash described getting the call.
And the first words that I said on the phone were, no way. I mean, yes, of course.
After training, the new astronauts will crew missions to the International Space Station, the Moon, and one day, possibly, Mars. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
And Regina artists have commemorated the former American elm tree of Victoria Park through a community art project. The elm, the city's oldest tree at 123 years, came down in 2023 due to decay. On Saturday, artists showcased sculptures in Les Sherman Park. Project lead Sean Wally placed the elm's 15-foot trunk in the Cathedral Village urban forest, where it will naturally return to the soil. The project also featured contributions from younger artists, reflecting on the tree's environmental and cultural legacy. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Weather brought to you by Line X Regina. Serious protection, killer looks. 1865 McCarra Street. Tonight, clear and a low down to 6. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 24. Tomorrow night, clear again, low down to 8. Wednesday, mostly sunny and very warm, high of 29. Thursday, mostly sunny, high of 22. Friday, mostly sunny, a high of 21. Currently in downtown Regina, partly cloudy sky, and it's 20 degrees.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar, 35 years of experience, moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more about your livestock operation. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's great stuff on this Monday for Kellen Solar. Of course, the YouTube chat, which Curtis is monitoring, and then the Prairieland Rentals text line. Should we just start with some of these? Give the people their dues. Some I can't read, obviously, because you put your name to it too. Like that'd probably be something you should do.
Now, thanks to Mike Thomas for coming on. You know him real well. I've chatted with him a couple of times, but the look of concern on his face, and everything is 100% valid because, yeah, the CFL is doing this, and here comes the ripple wave for everything else in minor football in Canada. If they're changing here, maybe the decision gets made to be like, financially, for whatever, you just got to stick with, because like you had said,
110 yards, is that what you're talking about? Because if there was
110 yards,
I don't mind the goalpost. I think the goalpost, personally, again, just me, had to move them. It was almost embarrassing at times. Like, why do they have a goalpost there where you could run into it? Keeping the field 110 just for but Curtis brings up a point. They're thinking 60 more touchdowns a game or 60 more touchdowns a season. If that happens, that's good. When you shorten the field, I think now that really snookers a lot of these places, because it's like, well, now what are we going to do? Like, we got to order a new turf, or we got to cut it down, or we got to do this. So that's the one. And people are losing their minds. See, I maybe it comes with getting a little bit older. It's just like, chill. Who's dying here? We're rushing anyone to the hospital. There is going to be a lot of financial, there's going to be a lot of fundraisers for some of these places to maybe redo their football fields throughout the years. But again, it's very similar to a lot of the COVID stuff.
I think it was last year. Yeah, last year in Indian Head, I think Chris Getzlaff was part of a fundraiser for them to put in new turf in Indian Head, I believe. They do that. And
natural turf, at least. Not, there's still work involved, but you don't have to rip up field turf. Again, that's where we are so far behind in Saskatchewan, and a lot of it is because of financially. We don't have a lot of field turf. Like, I'm trying to think in Saskatoon what they have now for field turf. And a lot of people out there are probably like, what is this? What are you talking about? Who cares? When you have field turf, you can play in the rain. Kids can play in the rain. Because Regina, the city of Regina, babies their fields like something I have never experienced anywhere I've lived in my entire life. It could be raining in one section and totally dry in the other. They'll close the whole fields for all the whole city, just arbitrarily. And if you have field turf, kids can go play more. Soccer is kind of taken over huge. And you're kidding yourself. I'm not a big soccer fan. Kids played it, love it, think World Cup's great. Soccer is going to be the biggest sport in Canada in however many years. There's no doubt about it. It's the international game.
It's very accessible. Game. And from a cost perspective, it's not like football or hockey or golf or anything like that. It's, some cleats and some shin pads, and you can probably go run around.
Benny said, not such a smart idea, stitching the lines into turf at Mosaic A. Yeah. Again, they get that has to be replaced anyway every 10 years. It should. So Mosaic probably isn't the big one but it's just the user groups.
The fact that at McMahon Stadium, they just put in new turf this year, and they're going to have to change it. And they're already in one.
Hockey rinks on hold. We need turf.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine?
Find
Eric
some
Francis
used stuff from the States. It seems the bulk of people, this is from TC in Medicine Hat, seems the bulk of people upset with the changes are blue hairs and baldies. I think these changes are great. Cheers, boys. Curtis, any other ones that stick out for you? I'm done. We've had a few of these, Maz. Sorry. I'm done defending and supporting this league with my dollars, with my passion. I'll be letting the game day sponsors know as well. Okay, so that they're packing it in. Sounds to be on the CFL.
Do we have the Curtis Rourke audio? Because Curtis Rourke's not happy. He called this whole thing garbage.
Nathan
find Nathan Rourke. Nathan Rourke. Do we have the Nathan Rourke audio ready to roll?
Okay, Curtis has it. Here we go.
New rule changes are garbage. It's garbage. I, as many people did, fans and people who play in this league, grew up watching the CFL and loving the game. I grew up in Ontario, played Canadian football rules all my life, was aware of and was a fan of the league down there, but was a fan of the CFL because of its differences. I went down to the States, proud of the game, being able to explain the differences. The waggle, the yard, the extra person. These are the things that are unique about the game that make it different. And there's the rule changes to me make it sound like we want to be that league down south. We want to be that league. And from recent history and years past, leagues that have tried to emerge to try to be like the NFL haven't existed for very long. The CFL game has existed for longer than the NFL. And there's a reason for that. It's unique. The fans love it. I grew up loving this game. And they're changing that. They're getting rid of a lot of things. The worst part I think about it, honestly, is the fact that the people who play football, who have the football knowledge, were not consulted about this. The players weren't consulted, the coaches, management, nobody was consulted. This was done on their own accord. This was done independent of asking anyone who actually knows football what they want to do, what they think would be better. We have a commissioner who hasn't been here for a year, who's already trying to change the game. And I don't believe he loves football as much as I do, as much as many fans do, as much as people who grew up loving this game. I don't think you cannot make adjustments like this and tell me that you like football. If you love the Canadian football game, because you're changing it. And what we're moving towards is not the Canadian football game that I grew up loving, that I'm passionate about, that I came back and played. I went down and played in the NFL in that league. And I came back knowing that this is a game for me because of the uniqueness of it, what's special about it. And we're getting away from that. And that, frankly, makes me pretty pissed off.
Did you, though? Yeah, he's passionate about it. So when he starts it, he goes like, the waggle, still there. Extra person, still there. Yard off the ball, still there. It's like, Nathan, come on, man. Is he going to get fined for that? We've had a number of questions. Will Nathan Rourke be fined for that? Possibly. And go ahead, Mass. Go.
There are a couple of things in there. Nathan, let's be honest. You didn't give up an NFL contract and NFL money to come back here on your own. The league chose for you. I thought you could have stuck down there. If you would have given a shot in Jacksonville or whatever, I think he would have been fine. But that's not how it worked out. So, okay, this is great.
I don't think so anymore, personally.
Okay, the CFL is a nice landing spot, all right? But hearing him, this is almost like watching McDavid cry in the dressing room. I kind of have a little more respect for him now because he let her fly with both guns. He's the poster child for the league now. He's Canadian. He's a quarterback. There are no celebrities. And he just basically roasted the new guy in charge saying, dude, you've been here 10 minutes. Why are you changing? And when you look back, Randy Ambrosie, outside of hash marks, did Randy change anything?
Was that a good thing?
No. But I love the honesty.
Change and being progressive and is what we want. And it is very Canadian. So as soon as we get change, we're like, no. What do you mean we got to put seatbelts on? Like, it's just, I think this is all going to pass. And we're staying 4 downs. We're staying with the waggle. You get the extra person.
3 downs.
You're staying 3 downs. Sorry, yeah.
Listen, Mr. NFL lover.
I love all football, buddy. Where
Me
you
too.
been?
That's the thing. I think all
my
football.
favorite football right now, honestly, is flag. Watching Canada and Panama they're an hour-long games. They're so exciting, the female and the men. That's exciting to me. Once they implement betting into flag football, watch. It'll be nutso. But I like it. I like it all. People are losing their minds, and that is fine. And there's some people that are saying they're never going to give the CFL any money, and they're done with it. Just stay true to you then. If that's what you want to do, stay true. Be Canadian. Be proud. Get that tattoo. I don't think this is, personally, I don't think this is any more Americanizing the game. They have data that they think there's going to be more excitement and more touchdowns. That's where they're going with it. I don't like the one that I don't like is the 100-yard field. I don't mind the goalposts. I don't mind anything else.
To me, the field doesn't bother me. A couple of things where we're doing right now and changes. Randy, okay, these are Randy chases I don't like. I hate that the ball goes to the 40 after a field goal. Put it on the 30. Don't make it too easy that you can get 2 completions and then score. Make it a little tougher. I hate that.
Why does the goalpost have to be that wide? If you want to make it tougher, narrow it down then.
Sure.
Like arena football. Craig in Regina says Rourke sounds nuts. They They took the steel posts out of the middle of the end zone. They made the field the same for every stadium in the league. They took away the chance to kick the ball out of the stadium and win, and they put teams on opposite sidelines. Still a very Canadian football league. Sharky said that. Our balls are still bigger. Okay, yeah, they didn't change the ball too. They're staying with the same ball. They didn't change the ratio. See, Travis says we went from radically Canadian to pathetically American. I echo Mike Thomas's words. Terrible choice by the CFL. And there's like so many people are passionate about being Canadian now. It's crazy. It's like we've never been more divided as a country, but now all these because of this, because we're shortening the field and moving the goalposts. It's kind of cool.
You have to increase the salary cap sooner or later. It's stuck at $5 million. You have to get rid of the coaches cap because look, for everybody that wants Bob Dice fired after the game on the weekend, that his team passed for 400 yards, the other quarterback passed for 58, and you lost because of the coach's salary cap. You can't make the changes that are good for your team because you're stuck with those salaries. If you're a have team and you have money, spend it however you want, like it used to be. Remember when nobody would come to the Riders because we didn't have any money for free agents? Don't hamstring the product. Make the product better. Pay the players more money, no coaches cap. Talk about the ratio. Just talk about it. Maybe you don't change it, but at least have a discussion.
Are we just printing money and just throwing it out everywhere? Or are we going off, is it a business plan? We're going to bring in this much money. This is how much we have to pay people and expenses. And if we have some money left over, I don't think you're going to say raise it and all that. Just like Rourke saying how Canada loves the CFL and fans love our game. Yeah, some do. But buddy, look around. Yeah. Look, the next time you play Ottawa in your barn, look around. You'll be able to talk to people.
Without a free concert before the game to draw people in.
Yeah.
I would say exactly. So just, you have to know there are people, and they're on our text line. They're us, passionate. Will argue with somebody in a bar for 3 hours because of the passion and the love. There are many people that are indifferent to sports, let alone CFL football. And especially with the world we live in now, to be like, that's the last thing on my mind. It's the last thing on my mind.
Coach's show today, we've had to pivot a bit, but we're going to get into it. It's going to be Dave Thomas. You want to go right now, Curtis? Okay, here we go. Coach's show for the week. Dave Thomas and Craig Reynolds.
It's time for the Sportscage Riders Coaches Show for the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation. Get your 50-50 tickets now for all Rider home and away games. Riders5050.ca and Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
Pleased to be joined by Saskatchewan Roughriders President and CEO Craig Reynolds. A big day in the Canadian Football League. First and foremost, your reaction to today's announcements.
It was part of the evolution of the league, and you know, as the commissioner mentioned, we're trying to evolve and make sure the product remains entertaining, and the whole goal around today's announcement was to keep the game moving. Obviously, transition from less field goals, more touchdowns, more scoring, which obviously leads to a better product for our fans. So that was the reason behind the changes, and just part of the evolution of the league and the commissioner's vision.
Fans have been reacting across the country. I'm assuming that your phone has probably been busy in your office as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, it's mixed with anything. Anything to do with change, obviously, you get mixed reaction. A lot of support for, I think the reasons behind that, to try to increase scoring. And then obviously there's concerns, as there always is, around, any change to our game. And so it's been mixed, and so we kind of expected that. And so we'll pass that feedback on to the league and try to get back to our fans.
So I guess let's start by talking about the process. Who initiated these changes?
Yeah, it was mostly, it's CFL led. But I know they had people around that table who had excellent, knowledge that could input into that. And a lot of it was data driven too. So just in terms of looking at the data around what happens, how teams operate near the end zone. And then obviously indirect and some direct fan feedback too.
And in the end, what was the process of making these changes come about?
Well, I think it starts with, the commissioner starting those conversations, and he gathered a small working group under an NDA, and they started sort of looking at what changes would improve the game, improve the product, improve the excitement of the game, increase scoring. So that was, to my understanding, the mandate, and these were the changes that they came up with.
I was once told that everybody wants progress, but nobody wants change. Did you have to be cognizant of what message this sends to the fans?
Yeah, I think that's always top of mind. Obviously, our fans are extremely important to us. And you're right, though, you have to have that delicate balance, act of adapting and evolving and evolving to sort of a modern sports environment, and even a modern in terms of how people consume products now, and obviously touchdowns are things that people consume in highlights are very, very important now. So just adapting to sort of the current environment is important. So it's always a delicate balancing act between respecting tradition and respecting what makes our league, unique, but also being willing to evolve.
Which of the announced changes then today do you think, Craig Reynolds, will be the most impactful today?
I think obviously the change of the goalposts. I think just opening up that field there, the end zone when you're in the score zone. The data that the CFL sort of provided sort of indicated there's going to be a significant increase in touchdowns, they believe, and increased completion percentage in the end zone. And so anytime you have an opportunity to score more touchdowns, and with all respect to our kickers, less field goals, I think is a good thing for fans, because that's what fans. The touchdown is the most exciting play we have. There's a reason that Gaynor drives around the field after touchdowns and not field goals.
The 35-second timing rule. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that the consistency is the biggest thing. I think right now it's something that's a little bit misunderstood, honestly, where everybody thinks it's a 20-second running clock. Right now, it's not. So it really it can be really inconsistent right now in between plays, the distance between plays. So I think you're going to have a fair bit of consistency there, and I think there will be a sense of urgency as well. Just teams will have a different sense of urgency because that clock's running.
Do you think it'll have an impact on how the final 3 minutes of a football game is played? Because they're some of the most exciting 3 minutes in all of professional sports.
Yeah, no, my understanding of that in particular is the rules committee is going to be looking in particular at the last 3 minutes, because I think everybody understands that the last 3 minutes in the CFL are unique and special, and I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done just to ensure that those sort of comebacks and sort of the last 3 minutes remains an exciting part of our game.
There's obviously an infrastructure component to the changes today. Have you discussed with the city about moving the goalposts here at Mosaic Stadium?
Yeah, we so obviously this was kept really quiet, and so we had a very initial conversation with them around that. So those are the things we have to work through going forward now.
So back to the configuration of the field, do you think that will allow for more seating potentially?
Yeah, that's one of the opportunities, I guess, that arises when you change the size of the field. We do have additional space, and you've seen those successfully executed in other stadiums whether it's premium seating or fan, things similar to what we have going on in Peel Country. They're very, very popular. I can say that with certainty, and so there's potentially some additional opportunities as a result of that.
There's obviously going to be an impact on amateur football in our country. Have conversations began with those entities?
Yeah, those conversations have to take place. So I know the CFL had a plan to, right before the announcement, reach out to amateur football. So the answer to that is no. And so obviously we have to have those conversations. I think the major change around the field, one of the major reasons for that delay to 2027 was to allow for those conversations to place rather than try to enact that change in 2026. You now have a fair amount of runway to have those conversations with amateur football, which is really, really important. Those are important conversations to have.
So lastly, Craig Reynolds, what would the message be to Rider Nation moving forward?
Yeah, I think this is just part of the league looking to evolve at a critical time, and again, I think it's done with the right intentions of trying to increase the number of touchdowns that are scored, which are again the most exciting play in the league, and the consistency amongst the play clock is, and then the Rouge has been talked about a lot. So those three changes, we're all done with trying to improve the product and the entertainment value of our league.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
What's going on in the markets? When is the right time to invest? What should you do with your money today? When Margaret had questions, she talked to Brian Golly.
He's very personable, professional, and keeps you confident in what he's doing.
You don't have to plan your financial future alone. Call Brian Golly of Smart Investing Solutions, 306-546-2533.
I would not hesitate to recommend him to friend, relative, or anybody else.
Elevate your baling experience with the Heston by Massey Ferguson 1 Series Round Baler. With a dependable, long-lasting design for challenging conditions and high-speed baling, this machine features swing-away net loading and an optional hydraulic drop floor for easy obstruction clearing. Quality hay production starts today with Heston by Massey Ferguson. See the Massey Ferguson 1 Series Round Baler at Nick's Service in Emerald Park. For more information, visit nicksservice.com.
The Ritchie Brothers Fall Farm season is here, featuring a huge selection of agricultural equipment coming up for auction across Canada. With 28 separate equipment auctions scheduled between October 2nd and November 6th, we're confident you'll find the equipment you need to get up and running or expand operations. And the best part is you can view detailed listings and quickly assess their assets entirely online. Head on over to rbauction.com to learn more about this great opportunity. Once again, that's rbauction.com.
Affordability in Canada is getting worse. Canadians are now paying nearly half their paycheck towards taxes. That's more than on food, clothing, and shelter combined. It's unacceptable. Conservatives stand with hardworking Canadians and will take aim at the affordability crisis by bringing down taxes, cutting spending towards needless bureaucracy and consultants, and fight for fiscal discipline in this Liberal government. My name is Warren Stanley, your Conservative Member of Parliament for Regina Leuven, and I will always be on Saskatchewan's side.
Paid ad by Warren Steinley.
The Sportscage Clutch Performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
Clutch Performer, Maz, I'm going to defer to you. Is it Chris Is it Chris Streveler?
Well, that would be your unclutch performer. No, hey, you know what? It was horrible to watch, but if
you
they
mentioned
can
it three times
complete
this show.
three of 8 passes and still win a football game, the bigger clowns are the Ottawa Red Blacks, who need to be relegated to like maybe U Sports, because you let that happen. You passed for over 400 yards. You had 4 or 5 turnovers, and you still, those Bombers. I said it on the show on Friday, and I said sooner or later they're going to have to. I said with Dave Thomas, the pride's going to take over, and they're just going to have to go out and win a football game despite everything that they've got going against them, which is mainly their quarterback. Good on you, Peg. You're my clutch performer.
Unclutch.
Well, kind of clutch, because I'm glad that they won, because it just showed how bad Ottawa is and that they're the worst team in the league.
Mine is clutch. The Regina Thunder defense. Now, we joked about this last week, where can't the Hilltops and Thunder just play like a best of 5, and maybe we go to the Okanagan, or they come here. No, they come here because it's way too expensive. And then we just kind of do that because they play these other teams. But then they go into Winnipeg and they win 41-40. But Winnipeg, and I didn't watch the game, did the reading on sportscage.com. They went for the win. The coach, with his raisins, he said, "Let's go. We're going to win this game, boys." And they went for 2, and the Thunder defense stopped them. So now second guess yourself. Winnipeg. Hey, Winnipeg Rifles coach got to be in hot water. Let's shift our anger towards him. But good job by the Regina Thunder defensive quadrant in the 41-40 win.
Did you see? Was it the Okanagan Sun? They beat somebody 94. Was it 94-0 or 96-0 on the weekend?
I didn't see that.
I'll check that. But it was gross. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we don't want to go fly out there. No, they'd have to come here. That's right. We don't believe in their government, and the prices are way too high with their taxes. So you got to come here.
Clutch performer for Nick Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator Gleaner, and Fenton dealer. Call 781-1077. Back to the text line. Curtis is buzzing over there on the YouTube one. Eli's sent a few in. We got him, Eli. We hear you. He's selling out. Rubbage. Commish has to go.
Oh,
worse than the last guy.
We're firing the commish already. Whoa.
Eli's on. John, the Habs fan. If Stewart Johnston wants to be an American so badly, he should resign and move. Maybe the NFL will hire him as a water boy. I agree with Nathan Rourke. These changes are garbage. Okay. Keep going here. Go ahead.
Can we go back to the Nathan Rourke thing for just a sec? Nathan, if it would have worked out, you would still be in the NFL and you'd happily be there cashing large checks. So on one hand, I get it, but it's a little disingenuous that if it would have worked out down there, you'd still be there and happy you could play your whole career there. Like his brother, who we drafted, may never come up here. He sticks with the NFL. They've all said it. Darian, everybody says that's the pinnacle as far as players and coaches and money and all of that. So I agree with a good chunk of what he said, but there's a few things where I'm like, hold the phone.
Roscoe seems like he's calm up there in Kinnersley. People are getting worked out about something that's a hell of a lot of work and went into it. And making a decision is not good in a matter of seconds. I think Roscoe's saying that there was a lot of thought process. I asked him. And some people are like, oh, you asked him softball questions. Da, da, da. Well, first off, my gig isn't to piss people off. Really? Like what?
What?
Yeah. Outside of here, maybe. I'm like, I don't mind change. I am not like, there's change every day in my life, and I'm up for a new cell phone. That scares me. Those are the changes that. But the one thing I did ask him was who was on this committee or this group, this posse, this gang, if you will, and he didn't want to name names. This is just speculation. A guy that we know really well, I figure would have had some say in this consortium. Maybe.
There's probably people that are hiding in plain sight that obvious, and then there's going to be people that probably offered tremendous insight that we will never, ever know of, but had strong opinions and thoughts on this. And what we're angry about today, by Wednesday, if the news cycle changes, people may forget all about this and go, oh, wait, it's not till 2027. It's 2025. I'll be outraged then.
Yeah, for forced to never go outside again and wear masks and all that. That we would put up with that. We can get through this, people. Trust me, we will get through this. This is giving away a pizza in the first period. We'll be good. Barry's
Can
been
we go back to you saying that
here.
You don't want to make things hard for people or make life hard for anybody?
No, I don't like to piss people off. Yes, I heard that. He's like, what's with all this? Barry's basically asking the secrecy about who the people are in this group. And I'm sure that'll come out at some point. Loose lips, right? But he says, so now our league is being run by a group of who behind closed doors. The message is don't question us because we know better than you, Barry. And there's a couple other messages on here like that I would have to go through. I totally get that. But it wouldn't have been just Stewart waking up one morning, brushing his teeth in the morning. It seems like a robe guy, probably in a robe, and said, I'm going to make all these changes. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make these changes. There would have been a group of people, smart people, and like the CFL has hasn't made any drastic changes in a long time. Yeah, the hash marks and but other than that, there hasn't been any changes to our game. Now, if you look around and you see this thing's a buzzsaw. This game is growing. Look at the excitement. Look at all that. Look at and then change. Yeah, don't. But is it? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that wants to compare, the NFL is its own orbit. It compares to nothing. So you can't use that. They do what they want, and they, like I said, they've created their own orbit, and that's where they live.
Hey,
we are not that.
Hey, NBA.
We are not that.
We own Christmas, our games. NFL, not so fast, pigeons. We're taking over Christmas Day now.
Stewart Johnston did say that this was unanimous from all the governors or presidents or owners, because depending on the ownership of all 9.
Secret Stonecutters group.
Yeah, and it went through. I mean, if you are Amar Doman and you're rich, but you can't pay LL Cool J to come to every game, you're going to have to try and attract fans on its own.
Yeah.
Right? We can't just you can't rely on gimmicks. Sooner or later, it has to come down to the product. And then also too is they need to figure out a way how to be successful like other sports, especially the NFL, where you can make money whether or not there are fans in the stands because of what you're doing online with the different platforms and the digital content.
Okay. Brian. Sorry, Brian, I don't think I got your first one. I'm a CFL fan and a fan of these changes. They kept the wide field, extra man, waggle to keep Canadian flavor. One more change I'd like to see is the use of the Duke football. Oh, Brian. Yes, the CFL ball is similar, but I take the Duke and throw stripes on it. So he's talking about the NFL ball. Imagine if they would have said that today. Oh, these patriotic Canadians. It would have been revolting.
Show me
in the streets.
So for people that are revolting, can I check your credit card statements? How much have you spent on tickets and at merchandise stores over the past 3 years with CFL teams?
Yeah, I said just like at the job of the client, and they were talking about we're done spending money in America. I'm like, oh, good on you. Really good job. Hey, all those Facebook ads that you run and Google ads,
yeah.
And they just sat there with a stunned face. Again, I can be a jerk store away from here sometimes, right? Eli wants to get into Connor McDavid talk now. The CFL little ditty that we're doing might carry on all week. Scott Schultz wants to come on tomorrow. Luke Mullender's coming on with you Wednesday. Glenn Suter's in tomorrow. Arash Madani. I think Glenn knew more about this, and he probably signed the do not disclose, the NDA. There was a lot of people.
Non-disclosure agreement.
And this was really tight-lipped. That's the other thing that I'm surprised.
It didn't leak.
And then Kate Burnett goes up there. I'm like, ugh. There's people in Porcupine Plain throwing things. But I was like, what? Are they making an announcement on the rights? I'm like, that wouldn't be that
That's what
big.
That's what I thought. I'm like, this better not be
big.
we signed a 5-year deal with TSN or something like that. I'm like, really? That for this? That could have been an email. But when he got up there, because when people take a podium and they have notes, and you're like, oh, okay. When Stu got up there, no notes, and I'm like, whoa, it's a no notes situation. And then he just started rattling off things. And then you could tell that they were organized, because when they went to the video, and I'm like, oh, there's some thought been put into this.
The Gary and Winnipeg, the Riders and Bombers are the only two teams that made money in 2024. Today's changes will not improve things in this regard.
Big road guy.
Gary and Winnipeg.
Here's a question, and this is valid. This is for every game, every situation, and it didn't get addressed. The command center sticking its neck out or keeping its neck back in, depending on the game and the situation and the quality of the refereeing. There's all of that. That is something that is always top of mind with fans. 1 week it's this. Like in the Hamilton-Edmonton game, it ended up being roughing the passer, but it was a bang-bang football play, and it was a weak call. Hamilton gets 15 yards, which moves them down the field. They kick the field goal. Edmonton played scrappy. I think they should have won that football game. But it went to the command center, and the refs didn't see it live.
I'm not. How about we just don't read text that people don't put their names to? Because then we'll be able to decipher through a few more. Kelly in Calgary. I can go along with limiting the Rouge point for a missed field goal, but I don't like tinkering with the size of the field or the end zones. The goalpost could move to more closely resembling the U.S. Thanks, Kelly.
On the end zone front, this is common sense. It's not innovation. You have 7 stadiums that have the proper size, and then you have Toronto and Montreal who weren't going to change and make it bigger, so then everybody make it smaller. And then in Montreal, when you watch the highlights in the end zone, they're angled off. They're not squares. So once again, it's comical, like having them on the same side of the field, where the end zone, like even in Montreal, they won't even paint the same width stripe that is in the 8 other stadiums for the goal line. The soccer players are going to get confused and trip over it? Come on.
Do you remember?
It's ridiculous.
Do you remember when hockey rinks and it trickled down to WHL, but that unfortunate incident in Columbus, and that would have been early 2000s, where that young girl lost her life because she got hit in the head with a puck. And you look back now and you think that is wild that there never used to be mesh around the rink.
No.
Like you look at some of these awesome SJ rinks, like the one in Humboldt, where you're like right on top of things. Pucks just used to fly everywhere. The Brant Center, but I remember because I think we were on Global back then. It was the outcry and the people losing their minds over netting going up and hockey rinks. And then there used to be a day when hockey rinks weren't all the same size. And then now they all have to have the same glass and the expense of all that. And then I went back to, I can only imagine for the diehard NBA people when the NBA implemented the 3-point line in 1979-80. It's like, oh, we're not handball, or I don't know what they would have cried out. And then the NFL used to have goalposts in the same weird spot that we do until 1974. So I'm wondering how long for some people to if they will calm down on this.
By Wednesday, some people will be like, I'm on to something else. Something else will catch their attention. And there are some people that will stay passionate, and they will begrudgingly Can we drift back to reality for a sec? We have a 10-3 football team. We're going to Edmonton to play this weekend. It's actually been a pretty good year to be a Rider fan. This kind of stuff, because it's going to affect everybody. My biggest fear, Barney, and I texted you, Keith Sholigan, when we had him on months ago, talked about how after 2007 we won the Cup. Oh, here comes Ottawa back in the league, and here comes the dispersal draft. And that wrecked the Riders because they lost 2 defensive tackles, and it
adapt, stay alive, make it work. Maybe our front office wasn't as good back then as it will be now. I totally thought it was. I thought it was American money expanding the CFL to possibly a Halifax or somewhere. That's what I thought the announcement was. So I was wrong. Is that still coming down the road? Clip this show, September 22nd. American investment, another Canadian team. Just what I had thought. John, the Habs fan, puts his name to it. He says, these are garbage rules, completely take away from the identity of Canadian football. John does not like them. So, John, you still got the waggle. You still got the extra man. Point off the line. The ball. The wide field.
Can Curtis find the clip from 2018 or 2019?
Possibility.
When Cody Fajardo in that playoff game hits the upright. And we lose in the playoffs to Winnipeg. Yeah. Right here.
Oh. Again, if you've ever thrown a football and you've ever played Canadian, those goalposts are spooky. Unless you want your guy to run a post pattern right through the middle. Yeah,
Doink.
that's a tough look right there. And then, hey, if you missed it, we're going to run it again in hour 3. Stewart Johnston talks about the data that they have to where the balls are thrown in the end zone and where they think it'll be better. Keep the text messages coming. We're going to try and get to as many as we can. We really appreciate it. Doesn't matter if we're on different sides of this. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to get through this. We've been through worse. But keep them coming. Comments are good. 936-6262, Prairie Land Rentals text line. Still more to come. It is the Sports Cage. We're on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM.
Hockey is back, and what better way to kick off the season than a visit to Extreme Hockey and Sport? September is Customer Appreciation Month, where every purchase qualifies you to receive your money back. At month end, 2 lucky winners will win back their purchase. Size doesn't matter. Product doesn't matter. Extreme Hockey and Sport. Locally owned, community-oriented, customer-focused, and don't forget the price match guarantee. Extreme Hockey and Sport, 1425 McIntyre Street, and the Pro Shop, conveniently located at the Cooperator Center.
Freeze Tallman wants you to get her done before the winter. They can save you time and hassle by delivering your building materials directly to your home or cottage. They have siding, roofing, brown-treated lumber, composite decking, aluminum railing, fencing, everything you need to finish your outdoor building projects before snow falls. Visit freezetallman.com or see them in Regina or Fort Capel. Freeze Tallman. Let's get you building.
The Regina Thunder NFL Lottery is back, and tickets are available now. Each $20 ticket gets you the chance to win up to $500 each week of the NFL season. That's 18 chances to win. Tickets are available until October 6th, and you can still win for the weeks already played. No football knowledge needed. Proceeds support the Regina Thunder Student Athlete Scholarship Fund and team operations. Get your tickets at ReginaThunderNFLLottery.com.
Lottery license RR240660.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sport, Regina's locally owned one-stop hockey shop. Now with a price match guarantee, 1425 McIntyre Street.
It really was a day to remember for CFL fans. Commissioner Stewart Johnston announced a number of rule changes coming up starting next year. You can go and vote at sportscage.com. Because the question is, which announced change to the CFL game will have the most impact? Go on there and vote. Riders are back on the practice field tomorrow, 5 p.m. kickoff in Edmonton on Saturday. They signed American defensive end today, Chico Bennett, 6'4", 256, attended Philadelphia Eagles rookie camp earlier this year. He spent previous 3 seasons collegiately with the Virginia Cavaliers. Jays are off today. They're in Boston tomorrow. Magic number to clinch the AL East down to 4. NFL tonight, Detroit, Baltimore. Ravens minus 4.5 in the point spread with our friends at Sports Select. Detroit's 330 on the pro line. Got to win by more than 3 there. That is your ticker in hour 2 for Extreme Hockey and Sport, where they have the price match guarantee. You're into shopping local, they can get it done for you. If you find a cheaper price, they'll hook you up. Check out the new Bauer Flylight gear that's in as well. Extreme Hockey and Sport. All right, Maz. Go back on the Prairie Land Rentals text line here. Are you reading any of the texts? I feel like I'm getting a nosebleed here and a headache by going through all these.
I've been busy. There's a lot of memes happening right now. I've been putting that into the Teams chat. There's a lot of stuff, some usable for the broadcast, others just more for our amusement and a good laugh.
Jeff on the YouTube one. I don't look at the YouTube one that often, but I saw this one. Also, Jaden sent in a good one too. But why take the Duke and throw stripes on it? What would that prove? Is that what prevents folks from going to a CFL game? I get he's being a little bit cheeky there. Then he says you have no choice but to change the field size if you move the goalpost. Otherwise, no one's going to try a field goal outside the 30 or 25 yard line. And Jeffrey, think about it though. That makes it interesting, doesn't it? When you're lining up from the 5 yard line, that's a tough field. I know it's not what it's going to be anymore. And there's just some that we can't read because, this is a radio show. If this was a podcast only, we would be able to do it. What do you got, Maz?
It's funny. You quickly, last segment, you mentioned hockey and NHL preseason started over the weekend. And for a lot of people, they were obsessing last night. And now Oiler fans, you lost one, but you won the other. But the game that you did win in Calgary with basically their full NHL lineup. So there is that. But now you've got to shift gears if you're passionate about your Oilers, Flames, and your CFL football to be like, I don't know what to text about. Why don't I just send in multiple texts?
Yeah, get
McDavid,
mad.
Oilers, Flames. I don't know. It's like you're that meme on the keyboard where you're just like the fingers are flying and you're hammering away.
Locally, too, we mentioned it in Clutch Performer, the Regina Thunder defensive side of the ball, holding Winnipeg when they went for 2. They hang on for a 41-20 or 41-40 win. Thunder are 5-1. Good job by them. The Rams. We'll talk about the Rams later in the week. They were undefeated, and they lost in Saskatoon to U of S, 22-20. Offense struggled in the second half. They had a 17-10 lead at halftime. They are home to Manitoba on Saturday. So, interesting one there because that's the only time they play this year. Now the Huskies have the old-fashioned tiebreaker.
Yeah, but at least if they are going to meet in the playoffs, they got a chance and they got a taste of what they may see. Now, obviously, game plans can change and you don't show everything in one game, but you got a pretty good gauge as far as, all right, we kind of know who they are and we know who we are up against them. You know what? Are you going to go undefeated? No, but if you come home and you learn going, okay, we know exactly why. All right, then that's probably the thing. And next 2 games are at Mosaic. They can go on a bit of a heater, and they can be 5-1 going into the bye, and then it's all good. And in an 8-game season, all right, everybody in the pool, let's go.
Let's throw everybody for a loop here today, too. Kurt, you want to check on that Rams package? I think Nick sent something there. Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation 50/50, Riders 50/50.ca. The Oilers road trip is the early bird prize until Thursday at 5 p.m. 2 tickets to an Oiler home game, 1-night hotel, or take $2,700 cash. Then 936-6262. Here's where it come in. You want to win tickets to the next Rider home game? Curtis has a couple right now. You got to pick the score. Riders Elks this Saturday, 5 p.m. So get angry with that score too, if you want, out there. 936-6262. Chance to win a $200 Sastel gift card.
I thought, because I'm not an expert, hey, CFL experts, how many of you predicted the BC beatdown of Calgary? Oh, wait, you didn't, because you have as much clue as I do. I thought we would beat Montreal, right? We would cobble together a win. I was worried about Edmonton being the trap game after the bye. The Elks are looking better. They keep losing on last-second field goals, but they're scrappy, and just like Toronto, they're learning how to hang around. So that's why this weekend I'm a little leery because, like Justin Rankin, look at that. He goes 74 yards for a touchdown, little screen. They're playing scrappy football.
Isn't that how it should be? Isn't really when you entertainment level isn't that how it should be though? Every game,
yes,
we should be worried about going into, which will end up being fine. Pressure on everybody, from the kicker to the quarterback to whatever. Let's get the pressure going. So when we hit it in October, we have those scars a bit. I don't want them to lose. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Edmonton for sure is scrappy.
A 5-9 Eskimo team, if you just looked at the record.
Elks.
Two of those.
Elks. People are going to lose their minds on that.
Sorry. They're already losing their mind. Sorry. Slip of the tongue. The Elks could be 7-7 easily, but they're 5-9. But we can't take them lightly because they're doing what they need to do and they're playing better. And the other thing, too, is Tyrell Ford, their high-priced free agent, is actually starting to earn his money in that backfield. He's had picks coming. He had a great game against Kenny Lawler on Saturday. You're not going to stop Kenny Lawler from catching the football, but he had a great game. And you got to think he's on Keyshawn Johnson on Saturday, or if Sam Amelis is back, we don't know because he'll practice tomorrow, that will be assignment number 1.
Okay. Let's just go back to the text line here because we got to keep this with what people are saying. Ken from Vancouver, again, throws his name at it. It's Ken from Kelowna. If you want to improve entertainment in the league, how about get rid of the global mandatory players? Video replay suddenly from Toronto for no reason. TSN coverage is pathetic. That's from Ken. The only thing I'll contradict or I'll battle Ken on is I think TSN does a good job. Being in that background, it's not easy to put together a football broadcast, and you got to ship everything around. That's why you see those dome trucks going from coast to coast. I think TSN does a decent job covering the game. But remember, they're doing a bunch of construction work in BC because of the World Cup. So sometimes I think that's a fact. Dave and Luke said, but that's another point for another time. Leonard will need a net to stop the ball from going into the fan section at Rider games. Have those nets they built at the new stadium, and they removed it. I don't remember them building them. But yeah, they probably will have to have some sort of netting, which that isn't a big deal in 2025.
No.
We brought somebody home on Apollo 13. Like, that was amazing. Putting up a net behind a thing, I think we're going to be okay there. Then the other thing, the Texas Longhorns game, the one end zone, they don't have a net. They just let them boot it. This Mexican band almost got hit by a ball. I could tell more on that later. Up against the clock. Darian Durant in hour 3. Let's get doubles talking about the changes. Where else are you going to hear that? It's a Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com on our YouTube channel, and of course on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM.
The Ritchie Brothers Fall Farm season is here, featuring a huge selection of agricultural equipment coming up for auction across Canada. With 28 separate equipment auctions scheduled between October 2nd and November 6th, we're confident you'll find the equipment you need to get up and running or expand operations. And the best part is you can view detailed listings and quickly assess their assets entirely online. Head on over to rbauction.com to learn more about this great opportunity. Once again, that's rbauction.com.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Ugh, what do I want for supper? There's a bag of baby carrots, a slice of cheese that looks haunted.
Step away from the sad cheese, Dave.
What, the fridge? Since when do you talk?
Since you've been standing here for 10 minutes whispering pizza or cereal like it's a hostage negotiation. I'll make this simple. Order Western Pizza. You are welcome.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. Don't just hang a door, install a Steelcraft. Turn curb appeal into curb envy.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
Steel-craft.ca.
The 620 CKRM Country Corner is brought to you by Glasses TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer, and Foster's Audio Video in Carlisle. Get the newest cell phone today with an amazing SaskTel rate plan.
Support the Regina Youth Flag Football League by watching some of their exciting action this fall. 1,700 kids taking part with all games at the rugby fields. That includes the new Female Elite League. This Saturday and Sunday is the final weekend of games. ReginaYouthFlagFootball.com. Saskatchewan's own Hunter Brothers bring their homegrown Nights Tour to Regina November 27th. Special guest Shantea. Grab your tickets at connexusartcenter.ca or stop by the box office. And Old Dominion make a stop in Saskatchewan with the How Good Is That World Tour, May 2nd at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon. Phil Vassar and special guest Sasha also take the stage. Tickets are on sale now at ticketmaster.ca.
For more information, visit 620CKRM.com. 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station, broadcasting from Regina, around the world at 620CKRM.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Corey Atkinson from the SaskToday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM news for Echo Sound in Fort Qu'Appelle. Stay connected with the new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. The International Trade Center at Regina's Real District has been officially renamed the Bungie International Trade Center. The rebranding was announced today as part of Bungie's merger with Viterra, an ongoing partnership with Real. Bungie continues as the title sponsor of Canada's Farm Show, scheduled for March 17th to 19th, 2026. The facility boasts 150,000 square feet of adaptable event space and regularly hosts major gatherings like Frost at Real, Agribition, and the Gift of Giving Gala. Officials say the change reflects support for agriculture and Regina's reputation as a place to do business. Gas prices are continuing to drop around Regina. According to GasBuddy.com, the price at the pump has dropped 3.8 cents per litre in the last week, with an average of $1.33.60 per litre. The national average is $1.36.10. The price of gas has dropped about 6.4 cents per litre in the last month. One issue to keep an eye on in Parliament is the pending changes to the capital gains tax. For now, they're deferred to January 1st, 2026, after much backlash from farm groups. Chief Agricultural Editor of SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hirsch, believes the changes could be rescinded.
I believe the government will act on this. I believe if you go back, there was promises in that regard, and they will act to fully get rid of the change in capital gains tax, but I've been surprised before.
One concern was the increase to the inclusion rate would make it even harder for families to pass the farm down to the next generation. French President Emmanuel Macron announced at the United Nations General Assembly today in New York that France will recognize a Palestine state. Tom Soufi-Burge reports from Jerusalem.
France has really been spearheading this action, and I was on a briefing with advisors close to Macron over the weekend, and look, their message is they don't want this just to be about words. It is a symbolic gesture. It won't change anything concrete on the ground immediately, but they believe this is about putting out a message of hope and peace for this region and ending the spiral of violence.
More nations are expected to follow in defiance of Israel and the United States. And Jimmy Kimmel Live will be back on the air tomorrow night. Disney executives made the decision to suspend production of the show last week after Kimmel made comments about the aftermath of conservative activist Charlie Kirk's death. Melissa Aden has more.
Had made that decision to suspend production on the show. This, they said, in order to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. The statement also reading, it is a decision, quote, we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. They have said that they've spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, that is where the Walt Disney Company says they reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday.
Kimmel has hosted Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC since 2003 and has been a fixture in television and comedy for even longer. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
This back-to-school season, don't be prehistoric.
Mom, my phone is basically a fossil.
Sweetie, your phone's older than a T-Rex.
Time to evolve at Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer.
They have new phones, back-to-school deals, internet and Max TV stream, and no extinct data plans.
In 2025, there's no excuse to roam with a Jurassic phone. Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel, echosound.ca.
Weather brought to you by Line X Regina, Serious Protection, Killer Looks, 1865 McCara Street. And Croft Electric, 27 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all your electrical needs. CroftElectric.com, and you can find them on all socials.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCara Street.
Croft Electric. You've probably heard of us because we've been around for over 27 years. We do commercial and residential work? Yes. We do permanent holiday lighting? Yes. We do cabins? Yes. And farms? Yes and yes. We're an authorized Generac generator dealer. We are a full-service electrical company with the experience and the people to service all of your electrical needs. We are Croft Electric. We will be here when you need us. Do it right, do it once. Follow us on all social and call 306-586-1333 to book.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar, 35 years of experience, moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more about your livestock operation. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Let's keep it going. Hour 3 of the Sports Cage on this Monday for Kellen Solar. Prairie Land Rentals text line might break down today. I don't know what our capacity is there. Luckily, Curtis is here.
No. Yeah, Barney, if you missed the show on Friday, maybe you didn't hear the podcast, if you don't put in a ticket, Curtis doesn't lift a finger. All right? Not a finger.
I'm not getting into the ticket thing. I get his stance on it. I get why they do it. Maz and Curtis are here, and we have been unpacking the monumental news today. You will remember where you were today, won't you? Because it was big. Was it that big?
Barney, one of the things that I didn't realize, just selfishly looking at it from a CFL thing, once the announcement was happening at 11, I'm like, oh, this is good. But then, we had Mike Thomas on. Then there's the whole other side of all of this. Amateur and minor football, not only in Saskatchewan, but across Canada. If the CFL is changing all of these things, what are they going to do? Are they going to change with? Are they going to have status quo? Field sizes, dimensions. There's a lot. And a lot of it has to do with finances and money.
If you didn't hear in hour 1, Mike Thomas did come on. He's definitely visibly upset. You can go back and listen to that in podcast form when we put it out, YouTube channel and all that. Quickly, I know Darian's waiting. Justin texted in, I don't know why people are getting bent out of shape over these changes to the CFL game. None of these changes affect the excitement of the game. You don't go to a game to see a kicker kick it through the end zone to win a game, or even worse, punt it through the end zone. Justin sounds like he'd be in the 30, 40-year-old demographic. I don't know any too many year old 60 or 70-year-old Justins. So I think Justin would be in that demo that they're somewhat trying to get. Justin, text in if I'm wrong. Keep the text messages coming. We'll try and get to as many. Let's get it going. Darian, he's going to have a lot to unpack. Here we go, Darian Durant.
It's time for Double Talk with Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Darian Durant. Double Talk is brought to you by Campbell Safety Consulting. At Campbell Safety Consulting, we work towards helping companies create a competitive edge by executing a proactive health and safety program.
Darian Durant, rider legend, a fan of change and a fan of the CFL changes today. Yay or nay?
I'm torn a little bit, because I understand where the commissioner's coming from. I understand, when it comes to viewing the game, making the game more exciting. I think I saw where, there's a projection of 60 to 70 more touchdowns being available because of these rules. But, I guess I'll start with what I do like. I like the running play clock after each play. I like to be able to, let's get the play clock rolling. Let's not wait on the referee to decide when it's time to start the play clock. Each and every team knows that they have 35 seconds to get their play in, to get the audibles or whatever in so you can make a play on offense. So I like that. I don't like the goalposts being moved. I think that, and I'll say that from a missed field goal perspective and, being able to return the ball. I think that returning missed field goals are such momentum swings. They're such huge plays in a game that something that you don't want to get rid of. It's been a part of the game forever. I think that, you can't really reward kickers for missing field goals. And, for the receiving team to have the ability to run it back, I think that's great. I don't like how, you can miss a field goal and get a single. I'm glad that that rule is out, but I still would like to see somehow you can kind of put these together to where you can still get a return, but you don't get a single if the ball is kicked or downed or kicked out of the back of the end zone. So I'm kind of torn in that area. I like the dynamic play of the missed field goal return, but you know, I'm kind of on the fence on both sides with this.
What about the field going down to 100?
You know, I could see where the commission's coming from with this. I don't like it because if you're good enough to pin a team deep and your punter's good enough, you know, once a team goes 2 and out, you pretty much guarantee 3 points if they try to punt, or, you know, you get a single. So you should be rewarded as the punt team for your kicker being accurate and pinning a team deep and shortening the field. Now, you know, once you punt, you give the other team is not in field goal range anymore, and now they have to move the ball. So I'm not a big fan of that. But like I said, when it comes to I understand the pros and cons of each, and I understand the frustrations, and if people are happy, I understand that as well.
The missed field goal return thing, Darian, I didn't even think of that. So thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, that's an exciting part of the game, because look how many games we've seen change, whether you've been part of it or just even games this year that can flip the script and take a team that's out of it and bring them back in, or to seal it away. That's always my big fear. When we're kicking a long one, here's the Khalil Pimpleton. Or is this the Vival?
Here's a question.
Oh, this is the Vival from the Vival from the weekend.
Would there be more of these this year, or more balls hitting the goalposts being thrown by a quarterback?
No, you don't see a lot of that anyway. That's such a low percentage thing that happens in the league. And you know what? It's a skill that we practice every day as quarterbacks. You know, the goalpost is there. You know, you have to have a little bit of arc on your throw. Make sure that you're aware of it, and it's just part of the game. And I love that about the CFL. I love that, you know, some things aren't just like the NFL. I don't know if that's the direction that commission's going, and he wants it to be more so like the NFL. I think I heard Nathan Rourke kind of go off about that, the similarities of the two games. But, you know, the goalpost being there is just part of the game, man. That's how it is. Like I said, it changes the game when you miss a field goal. And, you know, it makes the quarterback be a little bit more wary of where it is, and you have to put some arc on those throws down there.
So, Darian, do you think that the players, like Rourke's pissed because the players were not consulted in any way? If you were still in the league and you're playing, these are, to me, are drastic changes. I don't think these aren't mild. This isn't something. As a player, should you have been consulted, or the PA at least, to have a voice with the reps?
Absolutely. I think there should have been some type of survey. I mean, even if you don't, even if you're not going to take the guy's word, or, you know, you don't even care what the players say, you're going to do what you want to do anyway, at least give them an opportunity to voice themselves. Give them an opportunity to explain why they don't and why they do like something. You know, like he said, the guy got to go out there and do. I get that. What drives these leagues nowadays? It's all about the line when it comes to a dollar, but you have to consult with the guys who play, man. I think it's only right.
Is this game still Canadian, Darian?
Seems like it's slowly shifting to more of a down south game. And I think I heard you guys speaking a little bit like, what do you do with the youth? What do you do with the millions of dollars that communities have put into these you know, field turf fields, and you know, having to change the lines and having to, you know, everything dimensionally is made up to mimic the CFL game and the CFL field. So, you know, what do you do with all these small communities? You've raised so much money to put these fields in. Now you have to go and change. You know, it's such a big question. And you know, maybe if the commission doesn't consult with the guys, maybe you go across the country and consult with some of these younger leagues and see if it's feasible, or if it's something that you implement one rule at a time to give everyone a chance to adjust.
This is more than I thought it was going to be, because even when the announcement came out, you know, Barney and I were trading text messages, and I had the same thought as him. They're going to announce an expansion team, which I'm like, they've been talking about that for years. So this wasn't it. So I get if people are having a hard time digesting it, because it wasn't just one thing. Like, I think Randy Ambrosie, the last kind of big thing that they did was they moved the hash marks. And beyond that, they really didn't make any other changes, or there was nothing along with that. This is a whole lot at once. We're not used to this in the CFL, Darian. We're steady, slow, and easy. It's change.
Yeah, and that's,
ease it in.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Go one by one, right? Change one rule at a time. And maybe throw things out there from a perspective of, let's just see if it works. Let's give it a year. Let's see if it changes the game for the good or the bad, if it affects the game in any way. And like I said, I mean, for all of these to just come together and happen at once, I think you're hurting the little leagues that, are preparing these guys for the CFL game as they get older.
Darian Durant's joining us for Campbell Safety Consulting, our weekly feature. Obviously talking about the changes to the CFL and what was announced today. If you're going to go back and you're going to say implement the rules maybe one by one, first off, can we just stay status quo? Like text messages, it would be probably 50-50 right now. Is staying here okay? It is a business. They're trying to make money. They're trying to bring in fans, which is going to be hard. Look around. The country isn't football crazy anymore. It's just how it is. Would people be okay just being here? We just are staying like Amazon. We're just going to sell books, and we would have stayed there. Or is it okay to maybe explore other things?
I think you have to. I mean, if you want to grow the game, if you're looking at potentially getting another franchise in another province or adding to a province, you have to, find a way to draw in more fans and get more viewers. And if these rules do work and the projections are correct and you do have 60 to 70 more touchdowns, you have more exciting plays, I don't see a more exciting play than a missed field goal return for a touchdown. But, if he's an analytical guy and he's doing the numbers, and if these are the changes that'll get more eyes on the game, get a younger crowd, get more people in stadiums across the country, then I'm all for it. But if it doesn't, it could backfire tremendously.
Maz, let me go, and just on the heels of that, the one question I asked him, and we're going to play it again here in a bit, and he couldn't answer it. Were you ever involved, Darian, in one of those plays, I call it Puntapalooza, where a punt is punted into the end zone or a field goal is missed, they kick it out. Then you got to give 5 yards, they try and kick it back. Then, you can just go punt for punt for punt. Don't know if that's still the thing. Yeah, the 15 yards makes it a lot tougher to land it as well. But being quirky Canadian, that's one of the things I used to love. Once in a while you'd see, and it was more in amateur football, but you'd see the old Puntapalooza.
Absolutely. That's what makes the game great. These different little rules in particular that no one understands. They watch the game, they see it happening, and they're like, what the hell is this? What's going on? That's the beauty of it. Just like I keep emphasizing the missed field goal return, like that's a huge part of the game. So, I it's just hard to say at the moment, but if you're trying to follow the motto of the NFL, you want more viewers, you want larger TV deals, you want more sponsors and networks and things like that to back your product, then you have to have a product that is presentable and that can grow and people see a future in with investing in. So if the game is more exciting, then you're going to get more sponsors, you'll get more viewership, and then the game will go in a direction where ultimately the players will get more money. So we'll see how it goes.
So, Darian, real life scenario, you just mentioned this, the game, exciting, all of that. There's going to be 60 more touchdowns. Let's relay this to last weekend. And I know I've talked about this earlier in the show, but as a quarterback, don't tell me that Ottawa-Winnipeg wasn't hard to watch when Winnipeg throws up 8 balls and they complete 3. As a CFL fan, as someone, and you took pride being a Saskatchewan Roughrider and playing in this league, did that not make you frustrated, make you mad? Is it a little embarrassing? Is this to be is this the best that we have to offer? That 54 yards passing in a football game in good weather. It wasn't bad weather. So
yeah.
And
it was tough to watch. It was very tough to watch. I think that's what you're going to get when you have backup quarterbacks in. And I've said this a long time ago, and I'll keep saying, with these one-year contracts and guys switching teams, it's hard to build a team. It's hard to build depth. It's hard to build a roster when a guy is ready to leave after 1 year. So you're not going to be able to grow at the quarterback position. I mean, I remember when I was in the league, there are tons of backups who were starter material. They were ready to go. It's just that we had a veteran guy in front of us who was entrenched in the position, but the backup guys were ready to go. But now I think you're just seeing so many teams swap quarterbacks. Guys don't understand systems. And then when it's time to go out there and execute, they're not ready or they're not good enough to do it. So I think if we can possibly get rid of these one-year contracts and let these franchises and GMs build these rosters and build these teams with depth, now you'll have in case a guy gets hurt, you'll have a guy backing him up that's pretty good and can keep the product going and keep it at a high level.
Darian, I don't know if anybody called it. I just want to get your thoughts. It looks like the BC Lions have overcome their early season problems because Buck Pierce and Nathan Rourke are on the same page. They dismantled Calgary. Some injuries still on that defense, and then Vernon Adams Jr. gets hurt out of the game. BC is becoming a bit of a problem because they're learning how to play with each other, and Buck Pierce and Nathan Rourke are on the same page, and they just played enough defense that they really didn't have to because the offense was doing so much. Were you impressed with what BC did on the weekend?
Yeah, I'm definitely impressed for them to be able to do that against Calgary. I mean, the thing I was going to say is, BC always puts up a ton of yards against mediocre talent, but for them to go out and do that against Calgary, it proved my theory wrong. Now I just want to see BC match up with the Saskatchewan or, Winnipeg, and let's just see how, if they're able to do the same thing offensively against, two of the better teams in the league. So we'll see. But, I mean, you're right. I always had a feeling that if Buck Pierce and Nathan Rourke could get on the same page, this could be an explosive offense, and you're definitely seeing that right now.
All right, Doubles. I'll let you get back to being a dad, and I'm sure reading text messages, angry ones, and former players and friends up here in the CFL. And then
and the Cowboys lost again yesterday. That was not good. Caleb Williams, that was horrible. And he had pink nail polish on. I saw on the sideline. I'm like, really, this is not going well.
It's tough, man. Tough weekend to be a Cowboy fan.
I'd like to say you'll regroup, but I don't think you will. Okay. Talk to you next week, Doubles.
All right, sounds good.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Double Talk with Darian Durant, brought to you by Campbell Safety Consulting. If your workplace doesn't have a proper safety program, you can call Campbell Safety Consulting. They can deal with it, especially harassment in the workplace, which is a big one that they're dealing with these days. Actually, Jeff from Safety Dude texted in. I don't even know if I should read this, but he's saying he's going to go down as the commissioner that ended real Canadian football. Some of the rule changes aren't bad, but he doesn't agree with it. Trying to make it look like the NFL. Moving the goalpost is absolutely wrong. So that's Jeff. And then Benny texted in, Maz, your opinion on BC changes every week. If Calgary won, you'd have been saying that about Buck and Nathan. Benny's holding you to it. I love Benny. Benny holding it too.
Hey, am I the only one in sports talk radio that likes to flip-flop every week depending on which way the wind is blowing?
Keeping receipts, Benny. That's his new nickname. Receipts Benny.
No, all of us thought Calgary would be, just because, how they've played, it'd be a good game, but you think Calgary. But then Winnipeg goes in, blows the doors off, and the Stamps didn't help themselves either, making every mistake under the sun. And Vernon Adams Jr., sliding feet first is there to protect you. But no, he goes down because he's fighting for extra yards. And then I'm like, oh, he got kneed in the back. It's going to be ribs. He's out of the game. And at that point, it was pretty much out of reach. But if they don't have Vernon Adams in Montreal this week, it's another Alouettes win. Because MBT, thankfully they won. Oh, I was so mad. I'm like, you cannot lose to Toronto after you dismantled the Riders. Win this football game, and they did.
text. We've got this message in from a few people, and we did. It says Sean White, kicker for the BC Lions. I guess the BC Lion locker room would be the one that's boisterous today, and they're allowed to say whatever they want. Well, I guess I know I won't be needed. It was a fun ride. He's a kicker, so he doesn't think kickers will be needed with the new rules in 2027. All right. Adapt, Sean.
There'll be lots of field goals. There'll be lots of, trust me. I know they said there's going to be 60 more touchdowns. There's no money back guarantee that that's happening. There will be a lot of field goals. When you have guys bombing it from 60 yards, there will be, and a shorter field, there will be a lot of field goals.
I just want to, I'm curious on if some of the anger subsides and how long it takes for some people. I get it. The diehards, they are.
Could you imagine?
They don't
Barney?
like and people that don't like change right now. If you like I said, when Tim Hortons, when we found out that they don't bake their stuff fresh in Canada, the outcry, the boycotts that were going on. Hey, Tim Hortons still fine, lined up around the block. Everyone, we just don't like it. 2-line pass in hockey. Why are we getting rid of that for?
Ooh, could you imagine CFL today? What if it came out tomorrow that McDavid isn't re-signing with the Oilers? There'd be people they'd be on tilt. They'd have to take themselves out of the game called life because everything is going wrong.
That's drastic. Drastic measures here on the Sports Cage. We'll get some more text messages. What do we got? We got Pat Chat coming up. The Regina Pats are playing ice hockey this weekend on the road. And then we got the Stewart Johnston interview from hour 1. He throws some data at us. We're going to replay that. I stumped him on Puntapalooza. I want to know what's going on. Glenn's looking that up for tomorrow.
Hey, he's an analytics guy, and I know that there's people in sports that hate anytime the word data or analytics gets used because it gets overused. But Moneyball is still one of the best movies ever made.
And then
Brad Pitt was excellent.
You can't be too far on the data analytics side, or here I feel you got to be in that middle. You got to be in that middle. It's the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com. We're on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 5050 is presented by ISC.
Get it hot, get it fast, Western Pizza.
Can I help you?
Name's Terry Touchdown, sent by Western Pizza. I'm here to deliver the Saskatchewan Roughriders sweet deal. A large 3-topping pizza, 4 sticks of Greek souvlaki, a large Caesar salad, and a liter of soda. All for just $48.95 plus tax. And you're entered to win luxury suite tickets to watch the Riders, like a VIP.
And get it hot, get it fast, Western Pizza.
The Ritchie Brothers Fall Farm season is here, featuring a huge selection of agricultural equipment coming up for auction across Canada. With 28 separate equipment auctions scheduled between October 2nd and November 6th, we're confident you'll find the equipment you need to get up and running or expand operations. And the best part is you can view detailed listings and quickly assess their assets entirely online. Head on over to rbauction.com to learn more about this great opportunity. Once again, that's rbauction.com.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
We encourage you to go to sportscage.com and vote which announced change to the CFL game will have the most impact. You can vote there because it was a monumental day as Commissioner Stewart Johnston announced the changes coming in starting next year. Riders are back on the practice field tomorrow. They got a tilt 5 p.m. Saturday in Edmonton. Jays are off today. They're in Boston tomorrow. NFL Monday nighter tonight. 100-yard field. Detroit at Baltimore. Ravens minus 4.5 on the point spread with Sports Select. Detroit's 330. The pro line odds. They got to win by 3 though, of course. There. In hour 3, it's for Regina Steelcraft Doors. Made in Western Canada for Western Canada. Regina Steelcraft Doors. Tina just joined Maz, and she's saying I was just able to tune in. Go back and listen to the podcast, Tina. It's free anywhere or on YouTube. You can watch it. I have a question. Are missed field goals and punts not going to be able to be returned out of the end zone? No, that's what they want. You can either concede for a single point or you got to hightail it out. The question I had, which they haven't, can you still punt it out? Like the days.
Now,
and that...
I think if a field goal comes up short, like you're going to have the ability to return it. But like in the NFL, when you see a lot of field goals that get missed for whatever reason, they're into the net or they're into the stands. And then obviously there's no return even possible. And that's what Darian's point is that is an exciting part of the game that you're going to, for the most part, eliminate. And also to the fact that he said, too, that they used to practice throwing around the goalpost. That was part of what they had to learn playing the Canadian game.
Ride the gopher. Would have been easier to just say once you pass the 45, you can't kick a field goal. And once you pass the 55, you can't punt unless it's the last 3 minutes of the game. And they have not changed anything else and not have changed anything else. So thank everybody today. You guys are an awesome job, whether you like it or you don't, or you're in the middle or whatever. But let's talk a little bit of hockey here quickly. The Regina Pats played 2 games in the weekend, kicked off their season on the road. Joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline, which is the perfect night for Western Pizza. Visit the local one near you, see what the pickup special is. Dante DeCaria, play-by-play voice of the Regina Pats. And Dante, let's go through both games quickly here in a nutshell. A couple of losses for the Pats, tight one in Swift, and then they get badly outshot in Medicine Hat in a 5-2 loss on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Barney. Nice to see you, Chris. I guess let's start with Friday night in Swift Current. I think the Broncos are a team that a lot of people thought would be retooling this season. I think Chad Leslie has done a really good job with that top 9 and that top 6. I mean, with the addition of Zach Pantelakis. And, the Broncos played fairly well. Regina had a 1-0 lead after 20 minutes of play. And then in the second period of play, the Broncos, lead the hockey game 3-2 with, 3 power play goals. And then, unfortunately, Regina was unable to come back. And then you go to Saturday in Medicine Hat, and you look at Medicine Hat, no Gavin McKenna, no Weisblatt, no Basha, no, of course, Tanner Mollendijk. They lost, I counted, 9 key contributors to last year's championship team. And I was speaking with their coaching staff, Willie Desjardins, prior to the game, and they spent all offseason, did not take any days off, and went and recruited 9 American players, with the majority of them coming from the USHL. And boy, were those players really good. They played fast. They played physical. Like that D-core for Medicine Hat, probably the best in the WHL, hands down. You don't often see a team like Medicine Hat win a championship, lose all their top players, and still somehow be able to recoup and still be a competitive team. So Medicine Hat's Medicine Hat. They're still going to be one of the top teams in the WHL this year. Regina had a pretty good push in the third period, and now they look to, I guess, bounce back and reset Friday as they take on the Prince Albert Raiders.
Liam Pugh, first goal. How exciting was that just to see him out there? Obviously, he's got the cage on and stuff like that. But opening night, I can only imagine the pregame emotions he's feeling before he puts on the silks and gets to go out as a Regina Pat.
So, yeah, I'm happy you brought that up. So when I got to the rink, as we kind of prepared and loaded the bus, I kind of was given some jabs to Maddox and some jabs to Liam. Maddox was locked in as soon as I got to the bus. He had his headphones in. He was ready to go. And I kind of said, hey, opening night in the WHL, how do you feel? And he kind of just looked at me and I was like, okay. And then Liam was kind of just like all loosey-goosey and he was laughing and he was joking around. And I could just feel that, his nerves weren't necessarily there going into opening night, but just what a special moment for him. The last time a 15-year-old Pat in his debut scored was Connor Bedard in March of 2021. And in fact, it was against Max Paddock, who is currently the Pats goaltending coach. I had to give him a little bit of a jab after the game, but really cool moment for Liam Pugh. He did leave the game on Saturday night in Medicine Hat, but is ready to go. And actually, Maddox and Liam are going to be playing against Esteban for the Regina Pats Canadians tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's what I just that's what you sent earlier. So they're in action with the Pats C's. It would have been awesome if he would have went up to Maddox and he had his headphones on looking all intense. He would have been like, you ever score an overtime winner in a national championship? I'll be okay. Okay, Dante, thanks for doing this. We're up against the clock, my man. I know it's a big week. We'll be chatting Pats later in the week as we get ready for the home opener. Have a good one.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Right on. Dante DeCaria, voice of the Regina Pats. Yeah, you can watch them play with the Pats C's this week or with the Regina Pats. I think that's the plan later in the week with the home opener. It should be a good one. All right, we got the interview coming back up with Stewart Johnston. We're up against the clock here, Maz. We got a minute. Closing thoughts for today's show. This is if there was one day that we could go 5 hours or would want to, it was today.
Closing thoughts. The Liam Pugh scoring first game. How cool is that? Like, that's how you draw it up. If you're writing a movie script, here's your chance, and you go out there to be like, all right, the future's probably bright there. And on the CFL front today, as the show went on, my opinion has kind of changed because at 11 this morning, I'm like, all right. I'm Matthew McConaughey on the sideline at a Texas game. The CFL's making changes. But then as we saw as the show went on, there's a lot of things this will affect in minor football across the country that maybe this, although it's great for the CFL, for everybody else, now you have to deal with whatever this is going to turn out to be. And that is probably something I didn't think of right after the announcement was made.
It's the impact and the implications. We talked to Mike Thomas. You can go back and listen to that. We'll keep close tabs with them as well, the amateur football and where this goes and what happens. Is there going to be a pivot point? I don't know. Stewart Johnston's coming up back tomorrow. Don Hewitt's going to come in. Don Hewitt's got a lot to get off his chest in the first hour tomorrow. Arash a lot to get off his chest. And Glenn Suter, how much did Glenn know? Let's find that out tomorrow. Stay tuned in the cage here. We got the interview, our exclusive with Stewart Johnston. First to have it earlier today. We're going to rerun it for you. It's the Sportscage streaming at sportscage.com.
Do you have a safety program or OHS committee? Call Campbell Safety. Harassment in the workplace? Call Campbell Safety. Don't know if you have a proper safety program? Call Campbell Safety. Once you have an injury, it's too late to have a safety program. Be proactive with Campbell Safety Consulting. They'll come out and customize your safety program and be that extra set of eyes you need. 35 years experience doing health and safety, and they have seen it all, and then some. Call them today and get a free consultation. Campbell Safety Consulting.
SEIU West members are
Stores Person,
Unit Assistant, Finance Officer,
Unit Clerk,
Recreation Coordinator,
Youth Care Worker,
Medical Laboratory Technologist, Power Engineer,
Office Administrative Assistant,
Maintenance Services Worker,
Medical Transcriptionist,
Medical Office Assistant, File Clerk,
Medical Laboratory Assistant,
Pharmacy Technician.
The backbone of your public health care system. Learn more at seius.ca.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50/50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50/50 is presented by ISC.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. Don't miss a minute of